Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another tier list. Today, we're going to be doing the characters of Hunter x Hunter, which is another popular shonen manga series. And I love this series with all my heart. I think that it has the best writing of any shonen that I've ever seen. I think it has the best character writing. And I think it's just all around one of the most refined pieces of media that I've ever seen, I've ever consumed. And something may be jumping out at you if you're a fan. As you can see, these characters are just the characters that are in the 2011 anime, which is 148 episodes. And you may be wondering why I'm not doing the characters that are in the manga. And even though I've read the manga, I'm caught up. But in truth, I have sort of just read the chapters at surface value, when in reality, you need to have a much more analytical, sort of almost educational approach to it, right? Whereas I have not been doing that. So I have an example here of what it would look like if I was doing the manga characters. And I mean, I don't think much more needs to be said, right? I am a hardcore nerd for this kind of stuff, and even I wouldn't want to try to tackle this. Like, I don't know who most of these are, even though I've read it. So we're gonna not do this, and instead we're going to do this, which is a much more manageable amount, I think. So I've been thinking that I want to do more tier lists, and I think that I'm going to start doing one every Tuesday. So this one will come out on Tuesday. What is that? Christmas Eve. So happy holidays. And I made a list of a bunch of tier lists that I think I could, I have enough knowledge to talk about, and I was actually surprised with how many that there are. So I think I'm going to try to make one of these a week. I know in the past I've made some promises about streaming and stuff, but I'm going to try to do one a week with these tier lists. I really enjoy making them. So, as mentioned, Hunter x Hunter is a manga series that originally came out in the late 90s and got a fantastic anime adaptation in 2011, which is the version that I've consumed the most. And I think that I do have an extensive amount of knowledge about this series, but there are a few arcs that I've only seen twice. I know that's a lot for some people, but I just watch shows all the time, right? So the two arcs that I haven't really watched as much, I watched them on my initial go, and then when I rewatched it with a friend who had never seen it, I watched it too. But that would be Greed Island and the election arc. So some of these Greed Island characters, and then some of these down here, I don't really know a lot about beyond just the surface level details. But let's fix the tiers real quick. I didn't actually do this when we were prior. Very unprofessional of me, but let's just do this real quick. That's all we need to do. So the usual tiers, we have S, A, B, C, D, F, and I don't know. I'm going to be really upset if more than like one or two get in the I don't know, because I would say my knowledge of this series is comparable to that of One Piece, but this series is a tenth of the length, right? So a much more condensed experience. And like I said, I just think it has the best character writing of anything that I've ever seen. And we'll get into that. And we're going to have to get into that right away, because if this isn't alphabetical, it starts right off with the protagonist. So, let's get into it. So Gon. Gon Freaks is, at the start of the series, he's 12. By the end, he's 14. He's a young, bright-eyed boy, very naive, and he wants to figure out, above all else, why his father became a hunter and why his father chose going off and into the world instead of staying on Whale Island and raising him. And he represents a lot of different ideas that Togashi, the mangaka, kind of puts forth. My webcam is already blurring. Let's fix that real quick. Come on now. So yeah, Gon represents a lot of the ideas that Togashi sort of puts forth and these running themes that are in the series. And my favorite of those, I would say, is the concept of the light and the dark and the light, right? And that's sort of that is a subsection of a greater concept that I'm going to be talking about with like a ton of these characters, which is kind of the idea of like humanizing and not having any characters be archetypes, right? These characters feel like people. They feel like people that would exist, and people that have conflicting emotions, and people that are not either I'm a good guy or I'm a bad guy, right? And I think Togashi does that better than anybody I've ever seen. He is so impressive with his character writing. So Gon is a very naive boy, and he takes the hunter exam, he aces it. I like that his skill tree is more spec'd into like survival and woodland knowledge. I think that's a really cool, and like stealth. I think that's a really cool sort of take on it. He's not really powerful at all, obviously, because he's a 12-year-old boy. And he takes a lot of beatings. He gets beat up by Hanzo. Hanzo's a great dude, though. He gets beat up by Canary. Canary's great, right? So it's not like he's taking beatings from, villains. He gets beat up by Hisoka a little bit, and Hisoka's a whole can of worms. We'll get to him. But the main thing that I want to say with Gon, so I don't just talk about him for 30 minutes, is that he is an example of the dark in the light. He is, by all measures, by all, like, when you write it down on the list, he is a good person. He wants to help people. He has a very cheery disposition, but all the same, when he gets pushed in the Ant arc with Kite, when he gets pushed to that limit, he becomes, extremely selfish. He becomes psychotic. He becomes the darkness in the light. And I think that that's just one example of it, but I think that is just such a good example of character writing. It's crazy. And we'll talk more about Gon when I'm talking about other characters. I'll reference Gon. But I think he's a fantastic character. Some of his best moments, let me think. The dodgeball scene is what instantly comes to mind, right? My favorite scene of Greed Island by far. When he sort of calls out Nobunaga for not having the same empathy that he has for other people that he has for his own folks. Obviously when I'll use everything is like, that's almost too easy. And yeah, I would say those are my Gon highlights. So let's put Gon. I think he's going to be very top of A, and I don't think he's going to move down too far. Because, I would say a lot of people would obviously put him in S, but he's got really stiff competition in this series. It is insane how stiff of competition Gon has. Okay, let's keep it moving. So Mito, Aunt Mito, is Gon's, mother figure. She's who raised him. She lives on Whale Island, and she lives in a little house with the grandma. Is the grandma on this list? I don't see her. Fraud list. No, I'm kidding. But she is a, very traditional sort of like housewife character. She's very kind. She, they pray. She is like very concerned about like their hygiene and stuff. And the scene, obviously the scene that everybody knows and everybody would reference when talking about Mito is when she overhears Gon say that, he doesn't need to know about his mom. It's Mito, right? So very sweet, very wholesome scene. One of the best wholesome scenes in the series. And Mito definitely deserves a B tier. I almost want to even just put her in C tier because this show over anything else is just these three tiers are just gonna be stacked. And it's just such a credit to Togashi that the only reason there's gonna be any characters in these tiers at all is because those are the type of people they are. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not that if they're good or bad people, it's just Togashi is so good at writing characters, he doesn't write bad characters. I can't think, maybe I'll change my mind, but I can't think of a bad character that Togashi has written. Only that they're maybe too minor to really have a lot of stuff fleshed out about them. So, let's keep it moving. The ship captain, I love this guy. He is a, hardcore sailor man, and he was the sort of first pre-test for the exam, being able to survive that like crazy storm on the boat, and only the three main crew survived, or they didn't throw up, So he's good, and as Gon does with everybody, he wins them over, and he gives him that tip. He's like, hey, go to that tree. Don't get on the boat. Or don't get on the bus. The bus will take you, that's a rookie mistake. Go to the tree. So he was a G, B tier. He was cool. So Katsuo is sort of like the wimpy sailor that Gon helped and then eventually saved him when he was flying off the ship. But this is all in episode 1. It's crazy. Katsuo is he's got a good heart. Reminds me of Kobe from One Piece for sure. Early Kobe, of course. And he helps Gon. Even in the storm, he could handle it because he wanted to help Gon treat the other hunter applicants, right? So he's a good dude, and I think I'm gonna put him in C tier just because it just shows the quality, right? He's just a little bit too minor and didn't really do enough for me to bump him up to B tier, but C tier is good for him. I love the scene when Kurapika and Leorio are fighting, and then they both turn to help because they're good people, and then Gon just leaps, right? He just full sends it and trusts that his new friends are going to catch him, and they do. Okay, so Kurapika. Kurapika is one of my very favorite characters in the series. Their arc is just incredible. They their whole thing with the Phantom Troop and them being, and I always talk about I was talking about, and I will talk about the good and the bad, bad and the good. Kurapika was never either. He was always he was just so hell-bent on revenge, right? And so that is kind of a dark path to walk, even though presumably he's a good person. Walking that path of darkness is, it will affect you, and it certainly affected him greatly. Let me think of some moments. Obviously, when he smashes in Majitani's head for being pretending to be a Phantom Troop member, then just everything in York New, right? Literally everything in York New was amazing. Some of the best moments versus Uvogin. I love that he brought a shovel. That is so both BM and respectful. He knew he was going to win, or he was confident enough to think about that, to not be like, oh no, I'm fighting this impossibly strong enemy. What will I do? And his mind was clouded. He was like, I'm going to have to bury this guy because I'm a good person. So he brings the shovel, buries Uvogin after he kills him. And just what a character, right? What a character. And now he's the protagonist. Togashi is a master. I can't think, that would be like if Oda made Sanji the protagonist. If Luffy just lost his devil fruit but if you've never watched Hunter x Hunter, you may think that sounds kind of weird, but it makes so much sense in the context of the story. It is wonderful. There's actual consequences to things, and it's just Kurapika S tier, no question about it. Definitely puts a lot of anime girls to shame as well with the looks. Okay, let's move on. Leorio is one of the many beating hearts of Hunter x Hunter. I said that there are a lot of kind of, there's a morally gray spectrum, right? So when there's a few characters that are actually all the way good, they feel a lot more realistic and they feel a lot more endearing to me. I can think of two big ones, and Leorio is a big one for sure. He kind of initially comes off as a greedy sort of money grubber, but then you learn why. You learn about the corrupt healthcare system of Hunter x Hunter. Sound familiar? Does that ring a bell to you? But he's a good dude. He really is a good dude. He just wants to help people, and he wants to he wants to give people what his friend when he was a kid couldn't get, and he's just amazing. And the way that he in the election arc embraces Gon the way that Jing never would, it's just so sweet, right? He's not a father figure because he's 6 years older than him. It's not like he's 30 years old, 20 years older than him or anything. They're pretty similar in age, even though they look way different. Leorio, S tier, gotta be, right? Just gotta be. Okay, so the Kiriko Navigators are the sort of second pre-test. Well, there's only two. Well, I guess there's three if you count the getting to the house and then getting to the restaurant. But they had the whole scheme with we're being attacked or whatever. But it was just a family of these cool beasts, right? And they were kind of testing the aptitude of the hunters. And I really liked when they were receiving their judgment. I love that it was knowledge for Kurapika because he understood that lady's tattoos. It was just insane aptitude abilities for Gon. It was just skill, right? It was just absolute skill. And then it was kindness for Leorio. I think that was a really good sort of show of their strongest characteristics, right? and how they kind of work really well as a team. How they their strengths sort of fill the weaknesses of the others. Very good. I'm gonna give them, and they're in the election arc. C tier. I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's fine because these two are better than these two. Okay. So if you're my friend and you've seen Hunter x Hunter, if you've ever talked about Hunter x Hunter with me, there's one thing that I like to bring up a lot. I really do, and that is the fact that I love Tompa. This guy's hilarious, right? And once again, I'm just gonna keep saying it. Another example of Togashi's great writing, because this guy, in any other series, he would be like, I'm gonna kill you, Gon, or like I'm gonna really mess you up, buddy. You're donezo. Even if he had the same motivations that he does in this series, but think about all of the stuff, all the bad stuff Tompa did to our boys, right? What did he do? He tried to give them laxatives. He tried to keep them awake. He kind of like misled them in the tower because he was trolling. He's just that. He's just a troll, right? And I think it's so funny that my headcanon is that he's like a janitor or something, right? And he saves up all of his money, and then this is like his big like yearly holiday is to come take this test and like mess with everybody. He is so funny. He is such a unique, like, this character would not exist in other series like this. He's so funny, and I'm gonna give him an A tier. I know that is probably offensive to a lot of people, but I love when Killua comes back to take the test and Tompa like sees him and like hides his cans. So funny, so funny. Okay, so I don't want to rant on about Tompa anymore because I do love him. And he gets his comeuppance, right? He gets beat up, kicked in the head, beat up and tied to a tree. So it's not like, he got what he deserved and no more. So Nicholas is a very minor character. He is this little boy that's like taking the test, and he's a computer wizard, right? He knows the JavaScript frameworks, right? And he kind of like knows about Tompa. He's like, Tompa, you suck. But then Tompa gets the better of him by having the brothers. What are the brothers? These three kind of bully him into submission, right? It was funny. This kid, he's a shitter, right? Let me look at the list. Let me look at these real quick. I'm just going to keep him in D. He could go to F. This might change, but I'll keep him in D for now. Okay. Another slash rant here coming because this is another huge... We got two huge characters right in a row. This tier list is unforgiving for sure. So Killua is the co-protagonist of the series, right? He is a prodigy assassin child of the famous Zoldyck family, and he is the light in the dark, right? So Gon is the dark and the light. He is the light and the dark. He starts off as a very sort of brash, selfish, and very flippant, like very quick to kill, obviously. And his darkest moment is when he kills those two random dudes on the plane. He just, they bump into him. They say, hey, what's up, buddy? Why'd you bump into us? Boom! You're dead, right? So starts off pretty rough, right? It starts off like, ugh, this guy is, what's the deal? Is he going to be a villain or something? But of course he's not going to be a villain because Togashi is a master, and he ends up becoming an incredibly genuine and empathetic and mature for his age type kid, right? And while Gon is off being selfish and psychotic in the Antark, he is just like chasing him, trying to pick up the pieces like desperately, right? And he puts it all on the line for Gon. He's such a good person. By the end, it's crazy. It's very emotional, right? It's just a very emotional kind of situation. He has countless highlights too. He's obviously the poster child of the show, and if you play a match of Counter-Strike, 50-50 chance someone has him as his profile picture. Best moments when he rips the dude's heart out, the mass murderer, amazing flex, obviously, like jaw-dropping early series moment when I'm trying to think if there's anything in the Zoldyck family. Obviously his talk with Silva. I'll probably talk more about that with Silva though. When he flexes on the cripple crew, where are they? I'm hesitant to call them that because that's pretty anti-PC, but I think they deserve it, right? They are so bad. These three, when he flexes on all three of them, and he makes this guy like just piss his pants and skip town, which is pretty good. But during the dodgeball scene, he is the one that's actually taking all the damage when he's holding the ball. Antark, there's a picture of him holding two AKs. If you look up Killua holding AKs, it's a good profile picture choice. All around amazing character, and then all the stuff with Aldica, obviously in the last, that's just like the coffin was already well built for him being, or whatever it is, the boat was already well built for him being a good person, but that is like proving that he is like just such a good dude, right? Such a good young dude. The thing is, right, it's tough for me to put Killua in S tier and Gon in A tier because they need to like be together, right? Because their narratives are so intertwined, right? I'm gonna keep them both up here, y'all. I'm keeping them both up there. Okay, is this the order that I like for them though? No, it's not. Let's see. Let's go with that for now. So Hisoka is an extremely enigmatic character. He is a character that very obviously steals the show every time he's on the screen, right? Another fan favorite. And the fact that he is a fan favorite and also likes little boys is just another credit to Tokashi's writing, right? Because, a lot of the like Hunter x Hunter nerds out there will like be like, no, he's just attracted to power. He just likes strong opponents with lots of potential. And that is true. That's his main motif. But explain the Greed Island scene where he looks at their butts. Explain that to me. So, Hisoka, but he has amazing moments, right? He is an amazing character with amazing moments. Episode 5, Hisoka is sneaky when he cuts down those scrubs, when he squashes the revenge plot by the Examiner. Where's that guy? I saw him a minute ago. This guy? In Heaven's Arena, obviously the two big fights against Castro and then against Gon, and then when he meets up with Menshin, he's like, that's another thing too. He's just a freak, right? Because he looks at Gon and Killua's butts, but he's also like trying to get with Menchi, and he's probably he might have succeeded in getting with Illumi, right? So he's just all over the place. But he's a very fan favorite character. Obviously, what can I say? He's a show stealer. He killed Goto, which makes me mad. And after the anime is, my favorite part is when he fights Chrollo. That's amazing. But we'll talk more about that with Chrollo. So Hisoka, I'm gonna put him above Tompa, obviously, but I think he probably deserves an A tier. That might be offensive too. I think a lot of people would say you must put Hisoka in S tier. He's a great character. Obviously not a redeemable character. He's a murdering psychopath with a penchant for little boys. So I'm not going to say I rock with him, but well-written character, certainly very sort of haunting, and he serves his role very well in the series. So let's continue. So the brothers, Amari, Imari, Umari, they are sort of returning contenders, applicants for the Hunter exam, and they have a pretty minor role in the arc. They bully the kid. They get flexed on by Killua. I mean, that's about it, right? They get to the 4th phase, so they're pretty capable. But they're cool. I like them as kind of like quirky side characters. We'll give them a C tier. Hanzo. So Hanzo's a good dude, right? He proves himself in the early stages to be kind of a goofball, but also very capable as like a combatant, right? When Tompa tries to give him the juice, he gets all serious, but it's like still funny. He strikes this really good blend between like, I would never want to face this guy, but also like he's such a goofball. And he goes after, he like lies in wait when Killua was fighting the brothers, and then he goes after the tags, but Killua's too good, obviously, so he switches the tags, and so Hanzo has to work for it. And then his first big moment, or I guess his only really big moment in the series, is during the final phase when he fights Gon, and Gon won't surrender, so he just beats the crap out of him for hours and hours. He breaks his arm. He threatens to cut his legs off. You think he's a bad dude, but he's just doing what he's got to do, right? And, it gets revealed. Sato says like, "Oh, he broke your arm in the right way. It's going to get stronger," and he's like a nice guy. And then when Illumi says, "I'm going to kill Gon," Hanzo's right there in the middle, like, "No, you're not," and he's good. He's good. He comes back for a very minor role. He just kind of gets seen in the. Oh, he's in the manga too. What am I saying? He's on the boat, so that's cool. But he comes back in the exam arc to vote for the new chairman. So I love Hanzo. I think he is a wonderful character. Just a good dude. I'm gonna put him above Tonpa and below Hisoka. It's a good spot. So Bodoro, the karate master. I don't really have anything bad to say. This is why I'm moving him down. Nicholas. I don't really have anything bad to say about Bodoro. He is just kind of like a very traditional martial arts master that is taking the test, and he unfortunately falls victim to a manipulated Killua who kills him in the end. And a few things that I want to say about him. Obviously, a very minor character, but it's a theory that I've seen, a theory that I really like, and just kind of take as my headcanon, is that so during the interview, he's like, "I don't want to fight Gon or Killua because they're kids." He's obviously underestimating them, and he gets killed by Killua, right? But he's obviously underestimating them. But that also shows like a very big degree of morality, right? Like he doesn't want to beat up these kids, or he thinks he can, and he doesn't want to. And then when he fights Hisoka whispers something into his ear, and he surrenders, right? And the only thing that I saw this, and this is the only thing that I could think, and it never gets revealed what Hisoka said. The only thing I can think he said was, all right, give up or I'll, the kids. And I really like that a lot. I think that is so on brand for Hisoka, because he would never do that. He's just bluffing, but that would give Bodoro a reason to surrender. So Bodoro, I'm going to put him in D tier. Look, it's once again a credit to Togashi. I don't have anything against this guy. He's just not as good as any of these other characters, right? So, well, this guy, however, might be right alongside Nicholas, because this is Todo the wrestler. And he is sort of a hot-headed boomer type who gets really mad at Menchi because he thinks he's superior to Menchi because Menchi is a gourmet hunter. Where are they? Oh, they're here. Menchi's a gourmet hunter, and he really doesn't like that because he wants to be a bounty hunter, and he thinks that those are superior, right? So he gets really bad. Buhara puts him in his place, and then Menchi puts him in his place with the spider egg test thing. So, he's just a shitter, right? He's a well-written shitter. That's like a real kind of person, but he's a shitter. So this is Gereta the hunter. And for a very small side character, I really like him. I think it's cool that in the third phase, he passes very early in the tower. I think he's maybe fourth. And it kind of proves that he's about it, right? He's capable. And then his big moment is obviously when he dies, when after Gon finally takes Hisoka's tag, this guy was trailing him the whole time. And it's a really cool, like, realistic, like, better watch your back, buddy, kind of thing. Gon learned a big lesson there, obviously. But then Hisoka just, comes in and ices him. But he's cool, I think he's cool. I'm going to give him a C tier alongside the brothers. I'm going to put him even above the brothers, right? Like, maybe, like, right there. Maybe, like, there. That's probably fine. So, Bourbon, the snake charmer. He is an exceedingly minor character, only really relevant in one episode when they're in the cave with Ponzu here. And he dies to anaphylactic shock. Relatable to me. I have allergies that give me anaphylactic shock, but he dies to that because he gets stung by her bees, and he's a vengeful man, so he sets his snakes posthumously on them. And his big thing is he like holds grudges, so it's like he holds the grudge after death, right? And once again, he's like Bodoro. He's like another character that I have nothing against, but I'm just going to put him in D tier because I have nothing for him either. Below Bodoro, though, because Bodoro was a nice dude. So Ponzu is a character that I've kind of gone back and forth with a couple of my friends about for one reason, and that's her death in comparison to Pokel's death. So maybe we'll talk about these two as a pair because they are like boyfriend-girlfriend. They're very cool characters. We'll talk about Ponzu first. So she failed the test because Gon needed Leorio needed her tag, so Gon took it when she was unconscious as like a cheeky prize, right? And she comes back in the Ant arc, and she meets a very grisly fate in the Ant arc. She really served as kind of the, oh, this is really bad kind of moment. I mean, there was a couple before that, but this was like the oh no kind of moment. She gets gunned down by a lesser ant, right? The ant like has some human to him, so he learns how to use a gun, and he freaking mag dumps her and then pulls her onto a stump and eats her. And that was a very intense scene. It was a very, very intense scene. And what I go back and forth about my friends with is their deaths, and my friends are like, no, Pokel's death is like so much worse, right? Because the whole like brain thing, and that is like maybe objectively darker and worse, but that feels like kind of just like a this is a very dark anime moment thing, right? Where it's like, oh, this is like, look at how scary Pito is, and she certainly is scary. I mean, it works. It's an effective moment, right? But compared to like just the blunt and very realistic nature that she just gets like bam, 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 like, 12 9 rounds to the head and then consumed on screen is to me more shocking, and it was more shocking when I watched it. But enough about their deaths, right? They met horrible fates, but I like them both as characters. I'm gonna put them like high C tier, I think. Maybe like let's do top of C, maybe like that. Poko's a bit of a shitter, but he didn't deserve what he got, obviously. So this guy's a monkey. He's the monkey man. He has like a latex suit or something, or not latex. That's sus. He has like a bodysuit, and he has his like monkey with him. And he was Tompa's buddy, right, when they were trying to take Leorio's tag. Maybe one of the most minor characters in the whole thing. It's funny in the third phase when it opens up and the monkey walks out, and you're like, "Is this monkey taking the test?" No, it's this guy's monkey. I'm gonna give him top of F, honestly, because he's a schemer, right? Well, that means. I feel like these two are like similar. Yeah, that's probably fine. So Satots is a good man. He was the first phase examiner. He has sort of a curious energy about him. I wish we had more information about Satots and his sort of where he came from, why he has no mouth, why he moves like that. And he sort of has this like hitman, like slick hitman aesthetic too. He doesn't kill anybody, but it's just how like the vibes, right? And I like the scene when he's up in the tree and he's like, "Oh shit, Menshi's doing the thing again." And I also like the scene where he talks to Gon about Jing, and he's like, "I almost let the cat out of the bag about the Nen test." He's a cool dude. He's really a cool dude. I'm gonna give him A tier, above Tompa and below Hanzo. That's good. This is a good list so far. I'm actually really liking everything I'm seeing here. So Menshi and Buhara are some of my very favorite minor characters. Menshi is my pick for number one waifu in the series. And, she's great. She's very brash and sassy. She threatens to shove her boot into Hanzo's ass and have it come out his mouth and knock his teeth out, which I thought that was great. And Buhara is just kind of like the chill big dude who's like, "I'm just trying to eat." And she's like, "All this food is nasty." And Buhara's like, "I'm just trying to eat." And these two are great. They just I saw a YouTube short, or I think my friend told me that he saw a YouTube short about how Hunter x Hunter had one bad episode, and it was the cooking episode. Fuck you. That's not true. That episode was great. And it was because these two were so great. And they deserve a B tier for sure. I'm going to put Menshi at top. I'll keep them together, like maybe like that. That's good. Okay. We peaked early. We really did peak early because Isaac Netero is my favorite character in Hunter x Hunter, and he is my favorite character in fiction. I was really looking forward to talking about him and sharing my thoughts on YouTube about this character. So, I have to collect my thoughts here. Netero is a very interesting man. He started his life, from all that we know, as a martial arts practitioner, and he spent the first, 46 years of his life doing that, reaching the absolute pinnacle of martial arts, right? I'm sure he won all the UFCs in the Hunter x Hunter world. I'm sure he was, if Heaven's Arena existed at the time, it probably didn't. He was top of that. and all of that, right? And he realized that, he had done it, right? He had reached the pinnacle of his discipline. So instead of resting on his laurels, he went out into the snow like a madman, and he wanted to find a reason, right? He wanted to find a reason for it all. And he spent much time contemplating, and he spent much time praying, and the answer that he came to is the strongest virtue that I value in my life, and a virtue that I will probably make a video about in the future if I just start talking about more general stuff than just media, right? And that is gratitude. I think that gratitude is the most important thing that a person can have over kindness, because if you have gratitude, kindness comes. If you have gratitude, empathy comes, right? It just comes with it, right? And I am an extremely grateful person. It's tough right now. I'm going through it, but gratitude is everything. It is everything to the human condition. And Netero, that is his chief principle. So enough about all that. He goes out in the woods and he throws 10,000 punches, right? As just he prays to. He doesn't pray to God. He doesn't pray to anything like that. He prays to the disciplines of martial arts that have got him to where he is, that have made him who he is. And then he punches, and then he prays again, and then he punches. He does that for 4 years out in the woods. What did he eat, right? Like, that's not important. But where did he poop? That's not important. But what it did do is it made him by far the strongest human in this series. Like, oh my God, my favorite early scene is when they are in the, what is it? They're in the final phase room, and Illumi's like, I could kill everybody in this room, right? And still get my license. Netero would squash Illumi like a mosquito. It's not even funny. It is insane how powerful he is. And it is all thanks to his good heart. And I mean, that sounds so cheesy, but it's true. That's where his power comes from, is the fact that he has these just iron core principles about him. And let's get into the ant, right? The ant fight. So he fights Meruem. When he arrives, he sees Meruem with Komugi, and he is just shocked by that, right? Zeno verbalizes it, but Netero's thinking the exact same thing, like, this is not what I signed up for. And then they go out into the field, right? Well, before that, when he's walking and he sees Gon on the rooftops, and he's like, he's back there. He knew what was going on. And they go out into the field, and Netero just proves himself to be the best character, right? He just proves it, because he is hearing what the king has to say, and he acknowledges that he needs to wrap this up, or he's going to, and we'll talk more about this with Meruem, but he needs to wrap this up before his heart is swayed, because he's a stubborn dude, right? Like, as you would be if you were him. He's a stubborn dude, but he's like, this guy's making a lot of sense. We got to wrap this up. And obviously his best moment in the whole series, and no. Oh my God. He also holds the hardest line in fiction that I've ever seen. I challenge any of you in the comments of this video to quote a harder line from any series that you have ever seen, or book that you've read, or anything. It's when he takes his arm off and Meruem's like, all right, it's done. What's my name? And Netero just kind of like chuckles. He like looks down and chuckles, and he's like, you think I can't pray with a single arm? A prayer comes from the heart. Oh, that is so real, right? That is Vince McMahon like falling back out of his chair, right? That is, oh man, that is real. I have to put him in S tier because it's just that line, right? And then obviously the moment that I was referencing before I remembered that line was when he just shows the gratitude, right? It's when he pushes Meruem into the pillar, and the pillar breaks. Meruem like beast form, like gets out of the thing and is like, I'm gonna kill you. And Netero just, boom. I am grateful for you. I am grateful for everything that has led up to this moment, right? And in sort of another moment of realism, he is bound by bureaucracy, and he is bound by, I think he would have done it even if this was his, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what he would have done, but he was bound by bureaucracy so that he had the nuke in him, and he put himself out, and that ended up causing the death of the Royal Guards and Meruem as well, or two of them, I should say. But he's my favorite character in fiction. It's that simple. And the heart and soul shirt, I'm thinking about getting that as a tattoo. The symbol that just, man, I'm getting I long got emotional 5 minutes ago. But let's move on to Beans. So we've got Beans here, his secretary. He's Netero's secretary. He's this little green guy. What's his deal? Why does he look like that? And how did he find him? Who is he? What is he? He's cool. He's got his little tux. He gives the hunters their licenses. He's obviously very sad when the chairman dies. I rock with you, Beans. B tier. B for Beans. Rock on, Beans. So we've got, I don't know why. Okay, there's so many characters that I just remember their names. Why do I remember their names? This guy is Seto-Khan. He is it's really cool when the prisoners come out. I need a break, man. Not a break. I just need a little bit of water. After talking about Netero. So Seto-Khan is I love when the prisoners are unveiled. You learn everything that you need to know about them from their sentences. You see what they're imprisoned for, and you learn everything that you need to know about them. So this guy was like a bomber. He was like the Unabomber. I don't know, right? He was just like a bomber. And the whole thing is he's like Trixie, right? He does the candle thing with Gon. He fails miserably because Gon he is too simple-minded for these tricks to work on him. It may have worked on Kurapika, but it wouldn't have worked, but it would have worked better. But Gon just rushes forward and blows out the candle. So very minor character. Maybe there just because he was a little bit more entertaining than these two. I don't know. Okay, so we've got Majitani. This guy is, and it's funny too because if you're not reading and you're just watching the show, you're like, oh, there's text on the screen. I'm not going to read that. You're like, oh man, this guy is scary. But when you look at his charges, it's like fraud and investment fraud or something. So he's not a fighter, even though he looks like it. Even though he looks like a scary blue Frankenstein's monster, he's just a trickster, right? Or a schemer. And he's just a victim. He's a Kurapika victim, right? Because he pretends to be a member of the Phantom Troop, and Kurapika freaking teleports and lifts him in the air and just pummels his shit in. And then Leorio has the funny moment when he almost drops him off or whatever, but he belongs with these two. He belongs with these two. Okay. I don't remember her name, but she is the gambler girl that she rinses Leorio in the mental game. It was pretty funny. I don't really have much to say. Leorio groped her. She was cool with it, and she destroyed Leorio. So I don't really go with maybe here, just why not? She's cute, right? That's what gets her above these three. So this is Jonas the Dissector. He is the scariest mass murderer in all of Zaban City. He has 900-year sentence, and he killed a bajillion people with his own hands, right? Once again, he's a Killua victim, right? That's his whole purpose, is that he is so scary, and I think he kills Majitani, right? Either kills him or permanently disables him. And he is like, I'm going to just tear you to shreds. I don't care about this game. I'm going to just kill you, little boy. And Killua is a master prodigy assassin, so he just rips his heart right out and then does the flex move with the bag and hands it right to him. So it is what it is. I think I'm gonna put him in D tier just because he probably here just because he had such an iconic moment, right? He's such an iconic victim. That's so bad to say. Okay, let's move on. So, I don't know this guy's name, but he is the examiner. He has the scars on his face, presumably from Hisoka, because he was the examiner that Hisoka almost killed the previous year that got him disqualified. And through his personality, I can kind of see how that would be, because he seems very, even, not even given the situation, he seems very hot-headed and very arrogant about his skills. And I can imagine that in the previous year, Hisoka had a quip or something, and this guy was like, "You want to test me?" And then Hisoka just fucked him up, right? I can only imagine that is what happened. So he's so shit, man. Maybe top of F tier. That's a pretty shitty ranking for you, sir. So she's cute. She's just on the boat. She announces the fourth phase. She's like, here we go. She's trying to hype them up too. They're all very serious because they're in a life-threatening ordeal. She's like, "All right, everybody, we're taking the test. You get to go based on how you did in the last phase. Woohoo!" And everybody just doesn't listen to her. They're all, and she is just, she's just like, "Oh great, look at these sorry Sammys." Just for being cute and a funny character, I'll give her C tier, maybe above the brothers, perhaps. That's disrespectful to the brothers. I'll put her behind the brothers. Okay, so we're on to a very curious character. And I remember at the time when we got to him, the first time I was ever watching, I was texting my friend. I was like, "This guy's my favorite character," because his reveal is pretty cool, right? This is Illumi Zoldyck, the eldest child of the Zoldyck family. And you first figure out about him, he's the Hellraiser, right? It's a Hellraiser reference with his head, and he's shaking it with all the pins. And then when he's chilling with Hisoka in the fourth phase, he pulls the pins out, and you get to see what he looks like, but you don't get to see who he is. And then he digs a hole and sleeps in it, which is a very curious moment that I don't really know if it matches his character, but it definitely adds a little bit of quirkiness to him, which I appreciate. And but he's a bad person, right? I would say he is pretty far in the bad, on the moral spectrum. He is pretty far towards bad person because he is an extreme and cunning manipulator. He, not even talking about the Nen type, talking about as a person. He is a manipulator, Nen type too, so that's perfect. But he is wholly concerned with the family, and he sort of sides with his mother in that regard, and you can kind of see it. The whole Zoldyck thing is that it's the color of the hair, right? It's if they have dark hair, they are, a bit more cold and manipulative, and then if they have the white hair, they're more, a little bit more, I don't know, empathetic maybe, or just a little bit more cheery at times. I don't know, but Illumi is he's got a cold heart for sure. And he kind of helps Hisoka throughout the series with some stuff. He stands in for him with the troop, and then they kind of team up at the end in the election arc. And there's a bunch of theories about is Hisoka on the boat Illumi? I don't really know about that, but tons of theories about him. He's a very mysterious character. I would like to know a little bit more about him, but he's certainly a well-written character. I mean, definitely a very scary dude. Maybe I'll just put him next to Hisoka. These two are definitely lovers, so I think they should probably be together. So this girl is very cute. She is the Lamentation tour guide in the village going to Killua's home, the Kukuru Mountain. And I love her hair. She has kind of a Hunger Games District 1 vibe, but, she's cute, maybe a Maple Story sort of vibe. But she's very cute, and she is shocked to learn that Gon and Ko are staying at the thing, and then she leaves. Very minor character. I'm just going to put her with the other one, these two, because they're, it's whatever, right? So Zebro is a very good man. He is the gate guard. In reality, he's just like Mike's janitor or keeper. He watches the wall for the Zoldicks, right? But he has a very kind heart, right? He is so excited to see that Killua has friends, and he does his best to kind of urge them forward and help them through the gate and stuff. He's an all-around good dude. He's very humble. He's a big, jacked old dude. very humble, very sort of. That's the word I would use is humble because, he just like shrugged his shoulders. It's no big thing, right? Zebro A tier, maybe Tompa's gonna keep sliding down because he is funny, but he's Tompa. Maybe I think that's probably a great spot for him. This guy, I can't remember his name, but he was one of the bandits that came and tried to get through to the Zoldycks to kill them. Obviously got clowned on even just by Canary, she's pretty strong, but it kind of proves that he is a low tier character for sure. Canary's pretty strong though. I mean, she can do the cool assassin moves, but you know how it goes. And then he was the last survivor of that, and then got recruited, and now he is kind of like Zebro's buddy. But especially because he calls the butlers and like snitches on them, he's gonna get probably an F tier, maybe. He just ain't loyal, and he's just kind of a shitter. He like kind of helped them with the pushing of the gate, but then he called up the butlers to try to get clout. I don't rock with him, certainly not. Maybe there. Mike is their guard dog and very scary creature, right? Obviously intended to be. But I mean, if it was just him and Zebro and they're chilling, maybe he's just a cutie. I don't know. But very scary, right? Just a very scary creature. Doesn't really have any moments, so I'm just gonna give him bottom of C or bottom of C tier. He's not really. He doesn't really do anything, but all the same, he is a cool guard dog that's very scary. So we got Milky Zoldyck, and Milky's such an interesting case, right? Because he's a Zoldyck, and he is obviously kind of the comic relief Zoldyck. He's a big, chunky dude, and he has his like anime Robotronic figures, right? And it's wasted potential in my opinion. This is the first time I'll talk about this concept of him being a Grandland Review is who coined this, or I guess New World Review is his Hunter x Hunter channel. He's kind of a narrative tourist, Togashi, where he'll set up a very intriguing plot thread and then just kind of like let it go. And that's a good criticism to have as an author because it proves that he can just set him up, and if he wants to follow him, he follows him. But I would have liked to see more of Milky at the what is it? The auction, right? He just loses to the rich dude, and then that's the whole thing. I like that he was really interested in Greed Island. He's got the 20 monitors set up. He knows the JavaScript frameworks big time, and he is just like I just would have liked to see more of him, right? I'm gonna give him a C tier, pretty high C tier though. Maybe like there. That's a good spot for him. So Kikyo is the current matriarch of the Zoldyck family, and she is a psychopath. She is sort of the darkness. Well, I'd say Illumi is more of the darkness, but it's like mom, like son with these two, right? Because she is crazy. She wants to kind of keep Killua on a tight leash and thinks about the family more than thinks about the people of the family, right? And she always has Aluka with her, and she just kind of gets flexed on, right? That's kind of like her thing. She just gets flexed on a little bit. She gets flexed on by Zeno a little bit, by Killua a little bit, by Silva a little bit. So I'm going to give her a D tier because she's a psychopath. Maybe top of D tier because she's a little bit more important than the rest of these. Oh, Goto, you're my man, right? At first you're like, I mean, he looks scary, right? He looks like he would be like an old school anime kind of villain. And he kind of starts off that way, where he is, implored by Kikyo to kind of deal with these intruders who want to corrupt Killua. And so they do the coin game, and he sees Gon's aptitude, right? But more importantly, he sees how much Killua likes Gon and how good of friends they are. And then he's like, oh, inside his head, he's like, oh, wait, okay, I know what to do here. And that's let Killua go. So he does. And, he kind of gets forced into it, right? So it's like, did he do it? But you just come out of that scene really, and when he does the final one where he's like, it was a deception. you come out of that scene just really liking this guy, and it's a shame when he gets matched up against the clown because you know who's going to win, and it's not him. So I love this guy. I mean, probably top of B2, even above these two, and I love these two. So let's say something. Whew, man. I feel like I'm talking a lot more about each individual character than I have in the Game of Thrones or the One Piece ones, which proves the depth of Togashi's character writing. So, we've got Canary. She is a cool cat. She is the apprentice butler that is sort of, the second line of defense for the Zoldycks, right? Because it goes Zebro and Mike, and then you kind of walk up the path towards the mountain, and then she's there at the gate with her cool pole staff thing. And she comes off as very cold at first, where she's just like doing her job, but then Gon, as he does with so many, gets through to her, and then freaking Kikyo shoots her in the side of the head, and you think she's dead, but then somehow she just tanks that. I don't know. It might have been more impactful if she didn't get back up, but I'm glad she did because she's cool. She's a nice person who really wanted to be friends with Killua, but she couldn't due to her duty and her obligations as a butler. So Canary, absolute B tier. I'll put her with Goto. These two they rock, right? Okay, so Kaluto, who's actually a boy, if you could believe it. Kaluto is a character that doesn't really get a lot of shine in the early parts. It really, for most of the series, right? You see him a little bit with Kikyo during the Zoldyck family, and then really comes to light when they join the Phantom Troop. And my favorite part about them is that during the Ant arc with the little Phantom Troop interlude, when I love that he thinks that he can rise to the top, right? Like, he's so confident that he's like, okay, I'm going to just outdo these bandits and become the new head of this group, even though I'm 9 years old, 10 years old. And oh boy, is he proven wrong, right? He's proven so wrong when he sees Phaeton in action. It's like, oh, okay, never mind. And I like Kaluto, seems to be a character that, if continuing on the path with his mom, could definitely turn into an Illumi type, but if allowed to sort of stay with the troop maybe and, see a very interesting view on humanity with the troop, maybe be able to turn more into like a Killua or a Zeno. So, very interesting character. Maybe breaks the mold of the hair thing. Cool character. Deserves an A tier. Maybe top of B. Maybe just top of B. I'm not gonna go overboard. So Silva Zoldyck, the patriarch of the Zoldyck family. He is a sort of very interesting character right from the jump, right? Because you have this scene where he has this father-son chat with Killua, and that's such an interesting one, right? It's such a weird kind of, what is he thinking during all of this? Because he knows Illumi's got the needle in him, and yet he did this he had such a kind heart to heart with Killua, right? So in a lesser series, I would say he was just, it was all for the bluff, right? It was all for the, all just to let him go and then let the needle do its thing. And obviously that's kind of like the realistic end goal for him, as he explains to Kikyo after Killua leaves. But I don't think that heart to heart was not genuine. I think that he really was happy to see his son having a good time, I think that, I don't know, it just kind of rubs me that way. And obviously has the awesome fight against Crollo, and all they're kind of rivals. I like that a lot when Crollo's running and he's looking at Silva, and then it flashes to their first encounter, because Silva apparently killed one of the Phantom Troop a few years ago and then went back to the house and was like, y'all, it ain't worth it with the troop, right? But he doesn't have a lot of, he kind of does, he has some definitely evil sort of controlling moments in the election arc with Aluka. Maybe not entirely not understandable moments, but certainly very controlling vibe with him there. But when he crushes Chitu. It's cool, you know. Rip Chitu. Uh, I'm just gonna put him in B tier. Maybe below. I don't want to disrespect Canary. I wanted to say that. I think it's just no. We're gonna say that because these three characters simply have a lot more characterization to them than Silva does. Even though I do like Silva. However, a character that is going to be much higher than all of those characters I was just talking about is Zeno. Zeno is the grandfather, Silva's dad, Kilo's grandfather, and he's amazing, right? He is sort of another beating heart of the Zoldyck family in a very sort of interesting way, right? Because he is a hardline assassin. He's all business. It's not like he's gonna like forgive a client, or no, he's not gonna like take sympathy on a target. They're getting it, but through his interactions with people who are close to him, with Netero, with Killua, he just has the heart, right? He has the heart inside of him, and he has so many flex moments too, insane flex moments, like when you had just learned about N with Nobunaga, and Nobunaga's N is 4 meters, which my friends love to rag on him, and because I love Nobunaga, right? But his N is only 4 meters, and Zeno comes up to Silva when they're hunting Crollo, and he's like, I guess I'm gonna have to use N. Oh, this is a tough one. And he's like, and Silva's like, you sure you can, old man? It's gonna be 100 meters, right? Someone just drop something. Silva's like, it's gonna be 100 meters. Sure you can handle it? And he's like, I could handle 300 meters if I was on my game. And it's like, oh my god, okay. It kind of shows that the normal members of the troop aren't really sort of, they're very strong, but they're not at this level. They're not at Zeno level. And he goes 1-on-2 with Crollo. And obviously the best little dialogue exchange at the end is when he says, when Crollo says, if we were to actually fight, me and you, who would win? And Zeno's like, well, I would win. But if you were actually trying to kill me and not just stall me like a little cheeky boy, could be different. And he walks away. And that's such a, he's so clued in, And then he comes back in the Ant arc to kind of assist Netero with the whole mission. He probably gets paid a bucket load for that, a truckload for that. And then he has, sort of more of a minor role in the election arc, and then that's his thing. But his moments with Netero, he's the one who says it, right? He's like, this is not what I expected when it comes to Meruem and Komugi. And then he tells Killua, he's like, you should, you've been out here on your own for a while. You should probably make your own judgments about what's going on around here, around the palace right now. He's just a good character, very layered character, very well written. A tier, yeah, I'm going to put him even above Hisoka. I really like Zeno a lot. I think he's fantastic. Meruem's contemporary, not Meruem, Netero's contemporary. Another scene that is really, really good and it's just great, right? Is right when my favorite flashback is happening with the 10,000 punches with Netero. It's Zeno, and he's sitting assumably somewhere in the Zoldyck estate, and he's talking to you. He's talking to the camera. He's talking about Netero. He's talking, he's like, you got to plant some mental toughness. And the one that always gets me is like, I was breastfeeding and he was still an old man. So that shows that Netero's crazy. But I'm waffling now. Zeno, top of A tier. Whew, man, I'm talking so much about every character because all the characters are so good. This is the announcer girl during the Heaven's Arena arc, and I love how amped she is. She's a very minor character too, but she's gonna be above these two because I love how amped she is. She's so she's who you want commentating a fight for sure. If she was in the UFC, it'd be good. I'm gonna put her like there. That's a good spot. All right, so we're at Zushi. And I like Zushi a lot. He is a nice boy. He's sort of the next generation of martial artist. He's training in the Shingen Ryu school, which is Netero's school that he founded, and that Wing is a master of, Zushi's master. And Zushi is he's a cute kid. You know, he's always comparing himself to the prodigies of Gon and Killua, and you can't do that, my man. They're the protagonists, but he doesn't know that. And I like the part when Wing is like trying to show how strong Nen is, and he cuts his juice. And he's like, "That was my juice." He's cool. You know, I don't have a ton to say about him. I like that he says "os" because when I did jujitsu, that's what you say. You go "os." And Zushi, you can get a high B tier. I'm gonna put you right here. That's a good spot. Wing is a character that I'm gonna rank maybe too highly just because I like him a lot. Maybe he doesn't deserve where I'm gonna put him, but Wing is the master of Zushi, and he's actually the first person to teach Gon and Killua about Nen, and he was also tasked with teaching Gon Nen, or maybe like loosely tasked, like, you know, if you see this kid do this, because, oh, well, no, he would have been tasked with it properly, with teaching them, or Gon at least, Nen, and he's just a good dude, right? He's a traditional martial artist for sure. He doesn't look like it, but he absolutely is very skilled, right? I would love to see how he stacks up against some of the other like mid-high tiers in the verse, right? It's hard to power scale him, but he certainly seems very strong, at least in the basics, which is an important thing to be. So, Wing, I'm going to give you an A tier. I really like you, my man. I'm going to put you here. I'll put you right here. Maybe he deserves B. Honestly, I don't really know, but I just like him. I think it's funny when he tests to tuck his shirt in, and when he yells at Zushi for trying to use Ten or Ren. Big thumbs up for Wing. So this is the receptionist at the 200th floor of Heaven's Arena, and she, at first, when, you know, they walk around the corner and there's all the bad aura coming, you're like, is this floor just so insane that this receptionist has all of this Nen? But no, it was just Hisoka who was trolling. But whatever. I mean, you know, with the other two, I guess. She's not quite as cute as the other two, so I'll put her below, but these three can be together. Okay. We've made it to a funny little group that my friends and I like to call the Cripple Crew. And this might be worthy of canceling me, but they received the harsh Nen welcome to the 200th floor, which left them all in dire straits. So this guy got his legs ripped off, I guess, Guido. This guy is in a wheelchair, so something similar maybe. And then this guy has his face like dismembered, right? So they all got destroyed getting to the 200th floor, not knowing what Nen was. And I would feel bad calling them the Cripple Crew if they weren't the biggest shitters in the series intentionally so. You know, they kidnap Zushi. They're trying to get easy wins to become the floor master or whatever. They're trying to get to the, you know, next stage of the Battle Olympia or whatever. And they're just the worst characters, right? They really are the worst characters in the series. Intentionally so, though. It's not that they're badly written. It is that they are intentionally shitters. And that's why they deserve to be here. This is probably a good ranking for them as well in terms of within their little crew. And it's also a really cool sort of first Nen fight. It's like a really good introduction, like a very light sort of introduction for Gon and Killua into the world of Nen, right? Because they're not strong, so it's like this is a good way to kind of get some experience in the field with this combat system, power system. All right, so Castro is a character that I actually really like. He is a pretty minor character and sort of just a Hisoka victim, but leading up to it, I really like how they did it with they were like, okay, this guy is really strong. His only loss is to Hisoka, and he's coming for revenge because Hisoka beat him, kept him alive, and Hisoka kept him alive because he thought he had potential. And he kind of showed it a little bit in the fight, but not to where Hisoka had wanted. And what's going to give him a higher rating is actually the scene when Killua tries to sneak up on him, and he like teleports behind him, right? And that is a really cool, like, early series flex scene for sure. Really showing that Gon and Killua know nothing about the power system at that moment. Castro, for a cool moment in a cool fight, you can get a B tier. Maybe, like, right here. That's a good spot for you, sir. Okay, so we're at the biggest mystery in the series. Who's this guy? Seriously, leave in the comments who you think this guy is. I don't know who he is. You don't know who he is. Nobody knows who he is. Because he shows up once during the Gon and Hisoka fight in the booth, in the sort of, what is it, the announcer's box. and like explains one like referee concept, and even the announcer is like, "Who are you?" And my theory that I really like is that the champion of the whole tower is like kept a secret, and that's why, or maybe that's why the announcer like didn't know, and maybe this guy is like the strongest character ever, and he's like at the top of the tower. That's kind of my like cute little theory, but I almost want to put him in I don't know, even though I know who he is. I just don't know who he is in the verse, but I'm just going to give him a C tier, maybe like right here, because who are you, sir? I would like to know, but I'll never know. Oh, okay. Crollo. Oh, man. So, Crollo is a contender for my favorite character in the series and in fiction. He is a character that is, by all accounts, irredeemable. And even knowing his backstory, because, a tragic backstory doesn't absolve you of your sins. And at the same time, he's the strongest example of Hunter x Hunter humanizing the characters, because I just love this guy, right? I love all the moves he makes. He's so smart. And he truly cares about his friends too. That's the thing, is that's we're in Phantom Troop territory now. That's what we're doing now. And that is the Phantom Troop is the example of humanizing villains in the series, because they do bad things. They kill people. Now, there is a theory that my friend posed to me that the Kurta clan was actually a bunch of cannibals, and the Phantom Troop has never actually killed any good people in the whole series. Might need a fact check on that. I don't necessarily buy that. I think they do kill a lot of good people. But all the same, I can't hate this group. And it's not even that I can't hate them. I absolutely love them. They are my favorite villain group in anime. And I think a lot of it comes down to how well they're written in terms of their own personalities, and about how they feel like normal people in terms of the way they interact with each other and the way they joke with each other, and how lighthearted it can be sometimes. And while Crollo isn't very lighthearted, he is a very genuine dude, for sure. He is a leader. He cares for his people a lot, and he's a man of action, for sure. I mean, some of the best scenes are... My favorite little scene of all of Hunter x Hunter is when Neon sneaks away, and it, like, the way the camera does it when he's at the checkpoint, and she's like, "Thanks, I didn't have a way into the auction," and then it pans to him and he's just driving the Merc. Like, whew, he's so slick with it. And then obviously the dinner scene, do you believe in the afterlife? Pretty, it gets pretty real for a shonen. And then he conducts Uvo's funeral in New York, New City, and Deus Ide. It is a phenomenal scene. And I feel like I could just talk about him. Oh, man. Oh, well, and of course we have to mention that after the anime ends, he's a floor master at Heaven's Arena. Maybe didn't expect that, but he fights Hisoka in Heaven's Arena, and like a true bandit, he pulls out all the stops to win, right? Well, there's a perfect example of him killing a ton of... What am I saying? Killing a ton of innocent people when he puts all the bombs on him and sends him... Mind controls him and sends him at Hisoka to freaking jump on him and blow him up. And I love that. I love that for Crollo in that moment, it was a lot more than him retaining his spot in the arena. That didn't matter to him at all. It was all about getting at Hisoka, and he did everything he needed to do to put him out, or so he thought. Crollo, obvious S tier. I'm gonna put him. Yeah. I'm gonna put him above Kurapika even. He is a phenomenally written character. I love when Gon is like, why are you doing this? And he kind of like looks up and he's like, ugh. He says some, like, I would have to reread it or rewatch it. He says some like almost incomprehensible stuff, but it doesn't. I don't know. He's a whole can of worms, right? And he does have a horrible backstory too. Like, really, one of the most vile events happened to him at a young age that maybe kind of shapes him into who he ends up becoming. He also looks so much better with his hair down. What is this, man? You're such an attractive dude, and yet you do it like this? Come on. Okay. So, my favorite member of the Phantom Troop, Nobunaga. Not counting Chrollo, obviously. A member, not a leader. He is the head. My favorite leg of the spider, maybe, is Nobunaga, because he's very goofy. He is someone who is very emotional. He's definitely like a Cancer, because I'm a Cancer with the zodiac shit, right? And I'm not talking about these scrubs either. I'm talking about the stars, right? He is very emotional. He cares very much for his friends, and he's very hot-headed in a good way. And one of my favorite scenes in the whole series is when him and Menchi they're in the courtyard, and they're talking. They're like, okay, someone's trailing us. We know that. And Nobunaga is using his reasoning. He's thinking, okay, so we know the chain user works alone. We know he doesn't work for the mafia. And with those assumptions made, we can make the assumption that these two this entity behind us here is not associated with who we're looking for. And Menchi goes, well, I disagree, because I feel with my powerful instincts that they actually do have a connection to the chain user who they're looking for. And that might be the best example of scene writing in the whole thing, because the reason they're both saying that is because Gon and Killua don't even know who the chain user is. So all of Gon and Killua's actions up to that moment are independent, right? And so it is those independent actions and series of sequences that Nobunaga is calling on in his mind to make this deduction. Whereas Menchi is using her instincts, using an irrational sort of system that she has to understand that they actually do have a connection to the chain user. And they do. They don't even know that they do, but they do. And Menchi's instincts are that strong. And that scene, that's such a good one. So Nobunaga, I like when Gon kind of puts him in his place, but Gon puts him in his place, and instead of getting angry about Gon putting him in his place, he's like, you should join us. You should just be my homie. Nobunaga is going to be there. Honestly, yeah. This is tough. I'm going to put him even above Zeno. I really like Nobunaga a lot. I like Zeno, and Zeno has more moments, obviously, but Nobunaga really endears me. He's very an endearing character to me, so I'm going to keep him in A tier. The one bad thing that he did was he killed the dog guy because of the girl. You're evil, Nobunaga. But I think he could have gotten out of that alive if he didn't go, don't hurt her, you'll never lay a finger. And then, boom, decapitated. So Phaeton is the coldest member of the Phantom Troop. He is someone who loves to torture people. He is someone who loves to kill people. He is someone who has no problem doing all of the horrible things, right? And yet he somehow still has endearing moments. It's incredible. And they don't feel cheap. They don't feel like shoehorned in. The ones that I can think of are, obviously it's Finks' big moment, but the auction scene at the end of the very, very end of the arc. And then what's the other one? Oh yeah, it's after they take out the ants, and he's like, "You're acting like a girl, Finks," and Finks starts throwing rocks at him. I love Phaeton, and another reason I love him is because he just has some of the coolest moves, right? He has the Pain Pekka, and that was just so sick. That was such a sick scene. Phaeton probably gets an A tier, maybe yeah, that's a good spot for him. I like Illumi too, but I like Phaeton more. And I like the theory that he's a Zoldyck somehow, even though my friend who really has the knowledge kind of just debunked it for me. But I think it's still a cool theory, right? When he's fighting Zazan, and Kaluto is like, I'm here to get my brother back. And, he's talking about Killua, but it would be really cool. It would be a really hype reveal if he was talking about Phaeton, because Phaeton has like the hand blade, and he just moves like a Zoldyck, so whatever. So Menchi is another character with like almost like secret development, like a very understated character development. When you first see her when she's fixing up Hisoka, and like, you're an idiot, and Hisoka asks her to dinner, and she's like, I'm not fucking with you, man, come on. And what I mean by secret development is this whole concept of her instincts. Even though she's like a medic character, so her main discipline is that she's like a medic. She has the Nen stitches, and she can kind of fix people up. But she shows some incredible feats in the series. Of the big ones are when she has Gon cornered with Paku in the tower, literally right after the scene I was just raving on and on about, and Gon is like, I just need a second to escape, and he lurches just a little bit, and I mean, Machi just speed blitzes right over there, and I don't know if it's just the way the anime does it, but is she one of the fastest characters in the series, right? Like, it's that little scene is just like, oh my god, oh. And the other one is when the lights go out, and Killua's like, I'll have to kill her, and he goes with the blade hand, and it just gets stuck in her abs, right? It's like, oh my god, she's crazy. And has one of my favorite panels when she sort of when Hisoka gets back, and he ties her up or whatever with the bungee gum to like be like, I'm coming for the spiders, tell him. She's like, don't you fuck with me. And she's just really intense. She's a really kind of intense character, like anger intense, like not like Phaeton's, like Phaeton and Illumi are like very cold, like emotionless, scary characters. She's like, I'm gonna tear you apart, kind of angry, and she's cool. I really like her a lot. I'm gonna give her A tier, maybe like there. That's good. Illumi, you're going down, man. You're going down. I just like these characters more. Ooh, Finks. Ooh, okay. I love Finks. I really do love Finks a lot. I think that he is a character that is also one of the most brutal, heartless at first characters in the Phantom Troop. He's Phaeton's buddy, right? So he kind of seems like the strength, and then Phaeton is like the evil torturer guy. And I love his tracksuit too. He has a tracksuit. They pair up really well together. And he wears that hat. What is that hat with the snake, the Egyptian hat? I don't understand that at all, but even by the end of the series, when Paku's like doing the sacrifice, why did I say Nobunaga is my favorite character in the Spider? It's obviously Paku Noda. What was I saying? We'll get to her. Finks is a character who is very cold and very scary at the start, and then when Paku's doing the sacrifice, and Nobu is like, come on, man, just trust her. Like, it's Paku, come on. And Finks is like, he kind of like acquiesces. He's like, yeah, you're right. And then his big moment is obviously when they chase Gon and Killua into the halls of the auction, and Paku wanted to thank you, And I also like when he kind of looks at Phaeton. He's like, I'm saying too much. All right, I won't say anymore. But then Paku wanted to thank you, and that is it's such a humanizing moment. It's such a wonderful humanizing moment. Finks, I'm gonna put him below Zeno this time, right? Like, yeah, I think that just makes sense to me. So our buddy Shalnark is someone who knows the JavaScript frameworks, and he is a cool dude. He is a very sort of normal-looking guy, right? But he's their like techie. He's their he hacks the systems. He manipulates people with his needles and stuff. And he has a really cool scene with the ants when he uses the overdrive and he goes Super Saiyan. That was cool. I like that a lot. Obviously, one of the small scenes that I really like, and it's more an Uvogin scene, but when Uvo kisses him, what were they up to? You know, like, I didn't think that those two, I'd be shipping those two, but I do, certainly. I hope that they are together wherever the Great Beyond is, because, you know, they were a cute little pair. That being said, though, he's not, like, one of the best Phantom Troop members by any means. He's cool, and he's a clown victim, too. Did I just accidentally put him where I actually want to put him? I think so. Yeah, we'll put him there. I just wasn't even thinking, but I think that's the right spot for him. So, I would like to formally apologize to Franklin because I was talking with my friends and I was like, you know, obviously Cortopi is the most forgettable character in the Phantom Troop. And we were like, well, who's the next most? And they were like, Bono. And I was like, well, I love Bono. It's probably Franklin. And then my friends like roasted me, and they rightfully did, because he has the scene, one of the best scenes too. What was I thinking saying that? Where he's like, Shalnark, what is the worst case scenario here? And Shalnark's like, well, the chain user gets away, Krollo dies, and we don't get the chain user, right? Like, it just goes badly for us in this situation. He's like, well, no. It's actually all of us die, the spider ceases to exist, and the chain user gets away. And he goes, oh, yeah, actually, you're right. And that's just such a good scene that that one scene alone gives him like maybe like here. That's feeling right for me for Franklin. You got the finger guns too. That's kind of a weird power. That's one of my least favorite Nen abilities probably, but it doesn't matter when he has a scene like that. So Shizuku, I'm gonna get some hate mail for this. I'm gonna get some hate mail. Shizuku is a character that is very highly rated due to her looks, right? And due to her fact that she's a goth girl, right? Everybody loves a goth girl. And the only thing that I can say about her is that she has like 5 brain cells, right? Because I don't know, something about the way she moves, she's just so like dumb. Not in a bad way necessarily, but you know. Well, she's very forgetful, which is a very silly quirk, but more, I don't know. She just moves in a strange way. And obviously it's a really cool scene when they're doing the arm wrestling, the conditional auctioning with Leorio, and she does the arm wrestling, and it's a really realistic thing where Gon actually wins, but it's just like extreme diff. I like that a lot because a lesser shonen or lesser series would have just had her destroy him, and like that would be like a really like oh shit moment. But it was just the fact that Gon had to work for it for so hard that Shizuku lost anyway. And I like that a lot because later Togashi revealed the arm wrestling chart, and she's like the last, right? Like right above Cortopi. So I still like her though. She got a cool vacuum. She had a cool fight against the gross ass spider. So, but once again, she's gonna be with old Shal for sure. I almost want to put them in B2. Yeah, because like Goto is here, and that doesn't seem right. Let's maybe like that. Maybe that. For the kiss scene, I'm gonna have Shal just a little bit higher. I'm gonna go with that for now. I might change that. Okay. What was I saying about Nobu? Nobu is my second favorite leg of the spider, and Pakunoda is my first because she turns out to be the beating heart of the troop in the end, with all of the stuff with Gon and Killua, and Krollo. His fatal flaw in all of the whole plan is that he underestimates how much these people care about him. And that's like the whole thing. Because it's all about, the spider will survive even if the head gets crushed. It's all about the sanctity of the spider. And she kind of is like, nah, I'm not rocking with that. I just care too much about you, man. And she ends up giving her life up to get the info off, and that's her whole thing. And her heart gets crushed, and that makes me think like, curse you, Kurapika, but it was all victims of circumstance. And the scene with the meow with the cat, that is Pakunoda. Like, oh, what a character. And I really ought to put it on my Steam page when she's like raises the revolver with a smile. She's like, you know what this means? Oh man, S tier. Of course S tier. Oh, is that disrespectful to Leorio? It may be disrespectful, but it feels right. That's what I'm gonna do. You're still an S tier, Leorio. You can't complain too much. So, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, someone just drove by in their Vroomer. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, Bonolenov is a character that is a very minor character, but I actually really like him. He's actually pretty relevant to the story right now because Krollo is using one of his abilities. But he's a very minor character. But I like the whole story with the tribe and how they do all the holes and stuff and they make music. That's a really like unique kind of backstory. And I thought he was really cool. I liked that he got revenge for Ponzu and he used the Jupiter move with the orchestra from Jupiter. Very awesome. And then he goes, don't bother recanting those words. They are but a beast's ramblings, right? That's like, oh. And then, squash like a bug. Squashed flat. A fitting death for a bug. He's got some good one-liners, doesn't he? This may be really offensive to some people, but he's definitely going above those two. Maybe like there. I think I even like him more than Phaeton. I'm going to put him alongside his crew here. That feels right to me. Uvogin is the sort of titular character of that arc. He's the strongest of the troop physically. He's a brash brawler. Obviously doesn't mind killing people. I mean, another example of someone innocent dying is, well, maybe not innocent, but he fucking crushes that guy against the wall when he's looking for the chain user. He is in a relationship with Shalnark, very cute. And the way that obviously the main thing I want to talk about with him is the way that he absolutely refuses to sell out his homies. When Karapika's got the rope around his heart, the chain, and he's like, tell me info. And he's like, yeah, good one, buddy. Just do it. Iron resolve. Absolutely iron resolve. Great character. He's like, he's high mid for me with the troop. Let me look here. Well, no, he's not just high mid. He's high. I'm gonna put him. Yeah, that's. Is this Menchie disrespect? No, it's not. It might be Menchie. I'm gonna leave him there. I might bump him down a little bit, but I'm gonna leave him there for now. It's really the scene when he refuses to sell out the crew, and I know that all of them would do that, but it's the fact that we actually saw him, say yeah, I don't matter. Go on, do it. Kortopi is by far the most forgettable member of the troop, another clown victim alongside Shalnark in the same scene. And so I like this YouTube guy named Film Buff. Check out Film Buff. Very smart dude. Smart guy who reacts to anime. He is a great watch. He has a lot of great insights that I think that even I consider myself to be, not dumb at least. And he had insights that I did not have, so it was great to see. Kortopi is like, he can like do the cloning abilities and stuff, and webcams fucking with me one sec. He can do like the cool like cloning abilities, and he made the fake dead bodies and stuff, and that was cool and all, but the reason I mentioned Film Buff is because he was entranced by Kortopi and he thought he had some great backstory, which I thought was really funny. Because, he doesn't. He's a very minor character. So, Kortopi, you're just going to get a C tier, my man. I'm sorry. You are not anywhere as cool as any of the other members. Maybe like... Man. Kortopi disrespect, but above the bimbos, right? Because, like... I shouldn't call them bimbos, but... And above this guy who has never been seen talking. That's probably good. Okay. I don't remember this guy's name, but so whereas Wing is like the very traditional martial arts leader who was tasked with teaching Gon Nen because he passed the hunter exam. This guy was tasked with teaching Kurapika Nen, but he is a much more loose cannon style character as opposed to like the traditional like follow the strict tenets kind of guy. This guy was a wild card, and he was kind of like a nomad. And they went out in the woods, and Kurapika got beat up, but in the end, when Kurapika walks away, this guy kind of gets mogged by Kurapika's resolve, right? He's like, the chains won't matter. He's like, they will matter because I'm setting quite the condition. And he did set quite the condition. They'll only work on the troop. So, I don't have like any extreme feelings for this guy. Maybe like, sure, why not? Okay. Put this brother above this brother. What's his name? Squalla. Squalla loves dogs, and for that he gets big points for me. And also he has a really cute girlfriend, so that gets big points for me too. But he met an unfortunate fate with Nobunaga. It was the kind of the climax of the York New City arc, and Paku and Nobu got this guy out of the car and was like, "All right, tell us everything you know." And Paku, with her clairvoyance, with her mind reading, clocked that he had this beautiful girlfriend, and he snapped, and that's what got him killed. I honestly think that he had a chance to get out of there alive, but he had to cooperate, my man, and you did not cooperate. So obviously he knew he was dealing with the troops, so he thought that he was dead either way. But it was the fact that he actually got the two most empathetic members, but he never could have known that, right? So, B tier for you, Squalla. You didn't deserve what you got. Yeah, that's good. This is Baze. She has the seduction power where she kisses people and turns them into her slaves or whatever. Very much a discount Boa Hancock in that regard, but she meets a grisly fate at the whack of a vacuum cleaner from old Shizuku. I don't have much to say about her, low key. Sure, why not? Now, I do have a little bit to say about Basho, because I love Basho. He seems kind of like who's Todo, this guy. This guy is Boomer bad end. This guy is Boomer good end, because the one scene I'm thinking of is when he's sitting with talking to Medley when he's Melody. What's her name? Medley. Melody. She's cool, but when he's talking to her, and she's like, he says like, man, when I get done with this job, I'm gonna see the world on my bike. And a really, really good quote. I'll get to that when I get to Melody. I'm not gonna talk about it right now. But Basho, he seems just like a chill dude. He's got the funny poetry power, but he sucks at poetry. I rock with him. He should definitely get a B tier. Above Silva, above Shizuku, yeah. Above Canary, yeah. Yeah, right there. That's where he belongs. I'm gonna go to above Kaluto too. Shachmono was the sort of other insider at the start, and he's just a Franklin victim, right? That's his claim to fame. He looks like Lupin the third, but he is in fact a Franklin victim, and he doesn't really have much characterization or anything. So I'm gonna give him a D tier, maybe like, sure. So Melody's great. She is one of the most kind. She's like Leorio. She is a kind sort of light in the dark jungle, right? And the quote that I was referencing is when Basho says, I'm gonna see the world on my bike, and she says, there are many ways to spend a life. That's some powerful shit too, right? That is extremely insightful from Melody. I think a lot of people could actually benefit from hearing that with the corporate world and chasing material possessions. But a talk for another day, perhaps. Melody, you deserve an A tier, most certainly. I'm going to give you, she's climbing. She's actually climbing the ranks right now. Maybe like that. That's probably good. All right, sweet. Neon is a sick and twisted individual. She loves to collect human body parts. That's her hobby. She's very greedy, and there's this interesting theory that she loses her powers. That's the last we see of her, and then we see that her father is like in financial ruin. He's like, oh, Neon. And there's a theory that she self forever sleeped, right? And it's pretty dark, but in any case, she has the great scene with Crollo in the restaurant and stuff, and C tier. Well, probably D tier because, well, I didn't do the Game of Thrones based on morality. I'm doing it based on how much I like them as a character. So probably like there. That's probably good. Man, my webcam's going blurry a lot in this video. I might have to clean it. But when I reset it, it just gets back to normal. So I don't know. Okay. The father, same deal. Very greedy. Expects a lot of Kurapika. Just a mob boss guy. I don't know. D tier for you, sir. He cares about his daughter, but he only cares about her power, right? I don't think he actually cares about her that much, so... Man, Botaro disrespect is crazy. That's good. This is the somehow even scummier mob guy that Kurapika flexes on like 4 times. F tier for you, sir. You with your fat, bald-ass head. Yep. Oh, Eliza. She was the boyfriend of Squalla, and when he gets his head chopped off, she kind of like, she knows something bad happened. So that was really sad. Probably with Squalla, right? I mean, it has to be how that is. He's in C tier, right? That's where I would want to put. I give Squalla a B tier. I don't know if he deserves all that. He doesn't. I'm gonna move him here. I'm going to put her with him. That's much better. Z-Pile. Oh, wait. Okay. I'm having weird deja vu now if the YouTube short that my friend was talking about was actually talking about the cooking episode or talking about this guy's episode. And I would argue that there is one bad episode of Hunter x Hunter, and it's this guy's episode because Togashi's such a weirdo, man. I love him so much, but and it's just an anime moment, right? But because it's longer in the anime, but he spends way too much time just learning about auctioning from this guy. And I know it comes back a little bit when they're in the cell with Nobunaga, but that's just like played for jokes. Like, why did we need this episode right in the middle of all of the best episodes, or some of the best episodes? So he's still funny though when he's drinking with Leorio. I'll give him a C tier. I don't know. It's funny when low B. I'll put him there. When Killua runs into him at the second test, and he's like, sorry, and he zaps him. That was good. Hey, I'm back. Okay, sorry, I had to do something, but I'm back now. So it's a little bit later, but we're going to finish this up. We got quite a few big ones to still get to. A few big ones to still get to. So we're on to the Shadow Beasts. Quite possibly the biggest letdowns in anime history. They were sort of hyped up as the Mafia's ultimate soldiers, and they ended up just being the biggest victims of the series with the Phantom Troop. I mean, Uvo freaking wrecked these 4 of them, and then, look, so there's 10 of them, right? So there's these 4 that were kind of like for the Uvo flex, and then there was this guy who was relevant because he had the cool power that Crollo ended up using during the Zoldyck fight. But the fact that the other 5 are not even worthy of being on this tier list because they show up for 1 second and are pretty much silhouettes shows you how disappointing these guys were. I'm going to give them all an F tier besides Owl. Let's say like here, and then this guy's the worst of them because he's got the leeches. Porcupine's the best of them. Something like that. It's probably good. This guy's a victim of Big Bang Impact, which was an insane attack at the time. It really raised the power ceiling quite a bit. It was by far the most potent attack that we had seen at the time. So I think that's good. Owl, on the other hand, I'm going to give him a D tier because, like I said, he has a cool power. He gets it really bad. Phaeton tortures him and kills him, so that's pretty brutal. He keeps him alive, I think, so Crollo can use his power. Which is maybe even worse. So let's do like that. That's fine. So this is, what's his name? I feel like I know his name. It's like Batera. And he is a super billionaire, and he wanted to clear Greed Island so he could like cure his sick wife or something. It was he's kind of sad. But nothing to say about him or think about him. I'll just give him a C tier, maybe behind Cortopi. what does that say about him when you're behind Cortopi? I don't know, but that's okay. So, Tesgera, his main claim to fame... Ooh, webcam, why are you doing this? So, Tesgera, his main claim to fame was that he jumped really high, and then Gon and Killua jumped higher than him. That's a scene that my friends and I like to talk about a lot and laugh about. But, I mean, he's an overall good dude. He kind of helps with the dodgeball and stuff, so you can get a C tier. Maybe, like, right there. My friends might be mad at this placement, but come on, he doesn't do anything. So, this guy is kind of like the I don't know, he's kind of like a schemer, a little bit, kind of like a good schemer. You see him at first when when Tesgera and Batera are interviewing people, and he's kind of just like a side character in Greed Island. He kind of like doesn't he join the crew with this lady, right? Something like that. I'll give him a C tier too, low C, maybe like even behind this guy. So this guy is the Nen exorcist that helps Crollo, and like Hisoka like hunts him down and stuff, and then it shows like Kaluto with the troop, and he has Abengane is his name, and he has that like his Nen powers. He has that gross like homunculus, and that's how he exercises the Nen. For having a cool ability, you can get a C tier, maybe like right there. That's good. So this is one of Jing's best friends, one of Jing's 10 best friends that helped make the game. And is the other one here too? Yeah, they are. I don't remember their names, but they're cool. They may have invented the JavaScript frameworks, I won't even lie. So they probably deserve a C tier, high C tier, like maybe like here. And I'll put the other one there too, just to match, right? That's good. This guy was a very low-level scrub that tried to... Well, he succeeded in flexing a little bit, and then I think Killua just like scared him off. He was trying to steal their cards at the beginning of Greed Island. F tier for you, sir. Maybe above the Shadow Beast. I mean, come on, right? These two were a part of like the good guy team against old Genthru here. Let's give them just like a C tier. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know as much about Greed Island. I don't really know if these characters had a lot of characterization that I'm just missing. But, oops. Let's put this guy like here. And this was the leader of them, I remember. He can go like here. So, Genthru is a character that a couple of my friends really like to defend. And I think that he is just such a weak villain, right? He is just so weak compared to like... compared to Crollo and compared to another big one that we'll get to, the biggest one that we'll get to. But I don't like him at all, man. I don't like him at all. I'm going to give him a D tier, like maybe like right here. Put border over. Okay. But my friend like kind of says like it's funny that they're just like really hardcore gamers, and that's kind of what my friends and I are. But he's just a scumbag, right? Like, Crollo, you could say he's a scumbag too, but he has a laundry list of redeemable qualities that Genthru just has none of. He has literally none of. And you can say, oh, he wanted to help his friends in the end. Whatever. It's not the same. It's not the same kind of thing at all. It's just not. Not even comparable. So, good riddance to you, sir. Bisky, great character, right? Sort of the biggest teacher of Gon and Killua, really elevating their Nen abilities during Greed Island. And, you know, it's kind of a gripe for me, like the whole like training arc and stuff. I don't know. It drags on, in my opinion. But Bisky's a great character. You know, when she goes big form, she's cool. And she's obviously one of the stronger characters in the series. Another character like Wing that I would like to see them, how they stack up against some real opposition, because they didn't really ever do that. So... Bisky, you rock. You're cool. You get a B tier. B for Bisky. Maybe like right behind Basho. I just love Basho too much. I think this is probably a good spot for her. Maybe Bisky disrespect. I feel like a lot of people... does she? She probably deserves A, doesn't she? But that maybe means Basho. I'll put... Yeah, I mean, Tonpa's an A, right? So let's put Bisky... I have to go on how I feel. I feel that this is the right placement for Bisky. This is the right placement for Bisky. She's a great character. I'm like a micro hater a little bit, very much a little bit, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve to be high. I mean, she's a great character. She is very funny, and she loves gems and hot dudes. So, I mean, rock on, right? So this guy, is he one of Genthru's boys? No, he's not, right? Is he? He looks like the one of them. Where's the other one? Does this list not have the other one? So there's Genthru, right? This guy's like the scissor murderer or whatever, right? Once again, this arc is just kind of lost on me. So we got Genthru here. Yeah, where are the other two? Bad list, whatever. This guy, frick you, buddy. Frick your stinking self. This was the sassy lady who kind of went back and forth with Killua. She was kind of part of the card collector team. Whatever about you. Also D tier. Sure. Oh, Gorenu, right? So my friends and I love Gorenu because he has a white Gorenu. And he, of all the abilities in the world, right, Nen is a power system about willpower and about desire. And what did he will into existence? 2 apes. And it really came in clutch during the dodgeball game because they were able to field the apes as 2 of the players, and that really helped them a lot. He's just a hilarious, weird side character that he's very memorable. You know, he kind of lives in your head a little bit, Gorenu. So he's kind of like Tompa. Like, there's comics of him, like, fighting Meruem. I think that's really funny. For that, Gorenu, you can get a B tier. I'll put you, like, here. That's good. White Gorenu. Razor is the best character of Greed Island, obviously. He was a death row convict, and Jing taught him that you only need to have one person trust in you. I think that's really sweet. And he has since remained as sort of the final boss of Greed Island. And, you know, he was like, I'm not going to go easy on you, Jing's son. And the dodgeball scene is just one of the best scenes in the series because of him. So, obviously deserves an A tier. I'm assuming a lot of people would put him in S even, but I'm going to put him in A, probably. Maybe he deserves S. I'll put him there. I think that's a good spot for him. That's a very high score, you guys, so no disrespect to Razor at all. I think he's an amazing character. This was the lady that wasn't she the strip of beach or patch of shore or whatever? Wasn't she the holder of it or whatever? I mean, she's very pretty, but she literally does absolutely nothing. So she'll go with the other characters who are pretty and do absolutely nothing. These 4. This is, I don't remember the name, but with Dune, this is also one of Jing's buddies. These 2 are just great. They're just so wholesome, right? So let's give them both a B tier. Maybe like there, and then Dune just above them. I love the scene when Gon gets to the chairman election and this guy's like, you know, pointing to Jing. It's very cute. Okay. So I said there was a couple big ones left, and this is one of them. Kite is one of my very favorite characters in the series. I love his backstory with the animals, and just another one of the best quotes in... I can't say it's as good as Netaro's quote about prayer, because that is an actual quote that extends to our world, whereas a quote that is just so good in the realm of Hunter x Hunter is all good hunters get along with animals. And he's so good. And his power is maybe the coolest power in the verse, right? Crazy slots. And, you know, he goes toe-to-toe with Pito. And that is just such a jaw-dropping episode, right? Episode 85. For what little time Kite... So I give this award, right? In One Piece, it's Bello Betty. In Game of Thrones, who did I give it to in Game of Thrones? I recorded that video last week. Who was it? It wasn't Locke. It's the award for how long you are on the screen versus how much I like you. And Kite definitely wins that award. He's only in the show for... Well, he's in the show as a mangled zombie corpse for a lot longer. But as he is himself, he's only in the show for 9 episodes, I think. So, but he deserves an S tier. I'm going to put him... This might be crazy, but I'm literally putting him 3rd favorite character in the show because he deserves it. He's amazing. I love when he fights the Minotaur guy. The Centaur guy, and he lands on his back. He's like so graceful. I like that a lot. And what did that staff do? What did the little pole that he... I mean, he obviously didn't win against Pito, but what is that little thing that he got? Well, very much a question. So we're getting into the ant arc, by the way, which is the best arc in anime. But we've got the Chimera Ant Queen, and she had a lot of love for her species, and she had a lot of love, a lot of determination to birth the king. But at the same time, she was prior to any of the humanization that made the ant so compelling. And for that, I'm gonna have to give her a D tier, probably just above Genthru, to insult Genthru. This guy's name is Stick Dinner, which is really funny, but this is just Kite's crew of homies here, so she's very cute, so she's going to get amongst the cutesies, probably at the top of that. Stick Dinner, bottom of C. I'm going to give them all C. I'm going to give them all bottom of C because they're very minor characters that don't really do anything. Their name's Podongo. Is this racist or am I racist? I don't really know, but let's give them all C tier. So, Prepare to Cry edition. This is Colt before I don't think his name is Colt when he's a human, but his consciousness gets transferred into Colt, and he died in the early stages of the arc protecting Reina, his sister, and it was very sad, obviously very sad. And for being just such a boss in the face of instant death, imminent death, definitely deserve a B tier from me. Maybe like here, and I'll put Reina there too, human Reina. Well, Colt is probably... I would say that's actually probably a pretty good spot for Colt. Well, this guy... No, let's do this, at least. This is the mom. She, very sad, very, very sad. Let's do... Very minor character, though, so probably C tier for her, like that. So this is Colt after he gets incarnated as an ant, and he is the first and glaring sign of humanization in the ants. I love how I said that the Chimera Ant was the biggest example. I mean, the Phantom Troop was the biggest example of humanizing, but it's obviously the Chimera Ants, right? That's the whole point. So what was I saying? I'm waffling this video. It's because I love this series so much. So Colt has he's the first one that can communicate, and he cares very much for the queen, but he also has these visions of Reina, and he ends up actually surrendering and going to the other side because when the king is born, they just don't care about the queen. So he cares about the queen because that was his era of ant. Definitely going to put him with, I'm going to put Reina ant form here too. So that makes sense. This is Peggy. Rest in peace, Peggy, right? He was the scholar of alongside this octopus. Where's the octopus? I saw him. Where's the octopus? Not freaking Icalgo. We'll get to him. This guy, this squid guy. They were the scholars of the ants, right? They were reading human books and learning about stuff. And he just gets executed. These two just get executed by the king because the king was ruthless at the time, right? Because he's just been born. He's acting on pure instinct. So Peggy, you can get a B tier. I'm going to put you very bottom of B. This guy was just an absolute dumper, so he can get with the queen maybe. Blobster is a character that I did not like at all until the end of the arc when Reina is come eat with us, and I just bawl my eyes out, right? It actually makes me cry big time. And he is a character that just has such a good ending, right? And for that, he deserves a B tier. I did not like him at all during the arc, of course, but he was one of Gyro's men when he was a human. Very interesting. That's probably good for Bloster. This guy was some shitty Minotaur. You can get F tier. He was the strongest commander or whatever, but literally did absolutely nothing. So maybe there. Oh, Cheetu, right? So Cheetu has a special place in my heart because I met a Cheetu cosplayer at an anime convention and was just absolutely blown away by this, right? I was absolutely blown away that there was someone who was willing to cosplay Cheetu. And I asked him, why did you cosplay Cheetu? And he said, because he's a punk. And great answer, right? Just great answer. If I can find the picture, I'll put it up over here. But it is what it is, right? So Cheetu is a very arrogant ant, a very funny, childish ant, and he gets into it with Knuckle and Moral, and then he gets into it with Moral in the dome or whatever. In the freaking... Okay, I need to... One sec. Okay. So He's a very childish ant, and his big fight is with Morel in the like tree dome, or like the alternate universe that he creates because he wants to play tag with him, and Morel just destroys him and outsmarts him, right? And then he ends up just getting disrespected by Silva, right? Like he's like, Zeno, fight me. I don't know who you are, so fight me. And then Silva just orbital bombardments him and just flattens him and kills him. So I like Cheeto a lot, though. He's one of my favorite ants. I'm gonna give him a high B tier, probably like there. I like Cheeto. I'm putting him above the person who killed him because I like him more as a character. So you can go there, Cheeto. So Zazan is the self-proclaimed second queen, even though she makes disgusting excuses for children as opposed to beautiful creatures like some of the ants that the queen ended up being able to create. So she gets destroyed by Phaeton, right? Pain Pekka, but she was pretty strong. I mean, it really shows the power of the ants that someone like this was able to give Phaeton such a hard fight, or not such a hard fight, but just, it was a high diff, right, for Phaeton. So it wasn't like extreme diff or anything, but I'm going to put her... She sucks though, right? She actually sucks. So maybe like bottom of C tier. Melioron, he's an OG. He's so cool. After the queen dies, he like doesn't really know what to do. So he skulks around a bit and kind of learns about like the different sides of this conflict. And he kind of comes to the conclusion that like Gon and Ko are definitely the side to take. They're like, he just relates to them more. And so he kind of befriends Gon, and then there's that moment where Gon has the really cold eyes and is like, I'd have to kill you. And that was like a precursor to what would happen with Gon, right? But he ends up being a really good dude, and he's an MVP. He saves Morel, he saves Knuckle. I think he does a bunch of other stuff, but those are the two big ones against Yuppie. So A tier for you, sir. Absolutely. Is he the best ant so far? He is. Melioron, there will be higher, but that's okay. Maybe like right there. That's a good spot. This was the disgusting centaur who turned humans into his dogs and got destroyed by Kite. So frick you, buddy. Right there for you. The henchmen of the centaur can both go alongside him. This koala guy really made me uncomfortable when I was watching, and it's really funny that he ends up having to take care of the new Kite. Well, that's like that. He doesn't have to, but that's like the role that he ends up in. I think that's really funny. He's weird though. I don't really mess with him too hard. I'm gonna put him just above Zazan. This is Ramolt. He was the sort of feral ant that was really rowdy, and Colt had a really hard time reining in. And he was also the first ant to learn Nen because he was hit by, I think, Killua with a Nen strike. And he thought he was I love the scene where he thinks he's the biggest shit in the world. And then Pito is born and puts the paw, and he's like, oh, okay, never mind. That was a short-lived dream. So I'm going to put Ramolt just above these two. This is good. Pike is just the most disgusting character in the show. He's the spider whose anus twitches when he shoots the silk out. No thanks, man. I'm gonna put you with these four. This guy's so awesome. Hagya, he's not actually that awesome, but he's just really funny, right? Because he steals that Nen ability that's just an iPod, and then Morel gets really mad that his friend who had an iPod Nen ability gets stolen. And I'm just gonna talk more about it with Morel, but his fight is just more proof about Morel's greatness. I'm having trouble saying his name for some reason, even though he's my favorite character, Morel. Not my favorite, my second favorite. But Hagya was a really funny guy. You can't dead name him. Is Hagya his old name or his new name? There's Laol and Hagya. I can't remember which one he prefers, but don't dead name him, even though I am. What happened? So he's really funny, and for being really funny, I'm going to give him a B tier, maybe right there. Flutter was the sort of scout of the ants, and ends up just getting killed, and then Ikalgo takes his place as a sort of a disguise, right? I thought that was really cool. But as for the actual character, you do literally nothing for me, so you go there. This character is Laol, Hagya's buddy, and was the Nen exorcist, and they were really cute until they were in the bath and they had a hairy belly. I thought that was really weird. But they were a Nen exorcist, and they get kind of a good ending too with the weird, these two with Welfin and this disgusting man. C tier for you, but maybe a little bit above. Maybe like here for you. One of the most minor characters in the series. This guy was the butcher who was making the human meatballs for the queen. D tier for you. Maybe like there. Okay, we're getting into the big characters of the arc now. So we got Pito. Neferpito is the firstborn of the Royal Guards, and I'm going to talk about the Royal Guards a lot as a trio because that's how they're written. So Pito is sort of the empathetic Royal Guard, maybe? Or, that's not the right word. They're sort of the neutral Royal Guard because Poof and Youppi have this very interesting dark in the light, light in the dark switch. Whereas Pito kind of always remains. Pito certainly goes through a change of their own with Komugi and with wanting what is best for the king and all of that. But in the most basic terms, Pito is the cause of Gon's descent into what is essentially hell on earth, right? Mental hell on earth. And very little remorse for that, obviously. Feigns remorse to get what they want, but doesn't actually care. And they just want what's best for the king. That is programmed into their DNA, so that's what they want. And ends up being definitely the biggest victim in the series when Gon does his big I'll use it all moment. I'll use everything. I do like Pito. A few scenes that I really like is when Meruem hits Pito and is like, oh, I thought I was going to kill you, so you're strong. I respect you. And then the really good scene is when Meruem is thinking about his name and he asks them each of the answers. And this is actually why I said they were empathetic originally, is because the answer that Pito gives is, I think you should choose whatever name you want to choose. Because I think Pito, above the other two, want what is emotionally best for the king too, not just his physical health like the other two. So Pito is an amazing character, obviously. A tier. It's hard to rank them. It's actually really hard to rank them because they are such a pivotal character, but also one that I have very mixed emotions about. I think that's probably good. I don't know if I could justify putting them any higher. So Nov is a character that's really interesting because at the start of the arc, right after Pito kills Kite and they escape, and Gon and Killua escape, Nov is like, you're just going through shock right now. Sometimes when people who are inexperienced go through shock, they just don't know what to do. And then 20, 30 episodes later, he goes through the worst shock ever at feeling Poof's N. And it's so bad that he quits and he loses all of his hair. Even though he does end up coming back and kind of playing a clutch support role in getting some of the people out of the palace. But it was just a big gotcha moment for him, right? Also has a really cool Nen ability, the sort of apartment complex, right? The magical apartment complex. I like that a lot. I think that is one of the coolest abilities that I would really like to have. My number one ability that I would like to have, by the way, is, where is it? Where's Bisky? Bisky's ability lets you only have to sleep 30 minutes a day, so I'll take that. But Nova's cool. I'm going to give him a B tier. Certainly doesn't really shine as brightly as anybody else in the squad, but you can go there. Okay, so my second favorite character in the series is Morel Mackernassy. I really like him because he is a longshoreman, and he is so when you first see Morel and Nov, you're like, okay, Nov is obviously the intellectual. He's obviously he's going to be the cunning, crafty guy. And Morel, with his big body and his huge pipe, he's going to be the bruiser. But Morel just ends up proving himself as the character with the highest fight IQ in the series, alongside Chrollo, because all of his victories are outsmarting, right? With Hagia, he blows the carbon monoxide in and kills him that way. And then with Cheetu, he doesn't kill Cheetu, but he just flexes on him with the whole sneaking around the room and tapping him on the shoulder, right? So I love him so much. I love that his ability is so cool too, and maybe the coolest looking ability in the series, the Deep Purple with the bunny rabbits. You know, I'm quite partial to that kind of stuff, but he is. I don't know what to say about him. He's just incredible, and he's another character with just like iron resolve, right? I'm so shocked he got out of there alive. It was because of Yuppie's my favorite rail guard. With Yuppie's amazing sort of gleam into humanity, he was able to kind of he ended up just sparing moral enough for him to kind of get out. I know I'm having trouble saying his name, but Moral Macronassi. And the last thing I want to say about him is that I actually plan to cosplay him. He's the one character that I want to cosplay, but I need to make the pipe, and that's going to be tough. So I want to cosplay him for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is because a lot of people want to cosplay like Crollo because he's hot, but I want to cosplay this guy because he's cool. So webcam, I'm getting mad. Moral absolute S tier. He's my second favorite character in the series, so of course he's going to go there. So Palm is a psychotic woman who also has a penchant for little boys, clearly with Gon. But I can't really bring myself to hate her. She gets turned into an ant. She has a tough way to go. And she's just kind of funny. Like, I don't know. I like when she's like, you're not getting away from me. She hates Killua so much because he's trying to protect Gon from her. And she runs in and like starts cutting her wrists and like does the magical crystal ball. That was like a crazy scene, just a crazy like thing, right? So Palm, you get a B tier. I assume a lot of people would want to put you higher, but I'm going to put you there. Okay. Shoot is awesome. I love Shoot McMahon, maybe a Vince McMahon reference. He is a coward at first, right? He doesn't want to come out and fight Gon and Killua, but he has his big moment in his fight against Yuppie where he's like, I'm gonna put the patch over my. The narrator's like, Shoot put the patch over his eye for no other reason than to look cool, right? And I feel like he just ended up punching so high above his weight in terms of what you would expect from him in the raid. And I think for that he absolutely gets an A tier. No, a B tier. I'll put him there. However, there is a character coming up right now that gets an S tier, and that would be Knucklebine. Knuckle is, alongside Leorio, the biggest beating heart in Hunter x Hunter. He spends all of the time before the raid helping out stray dogs. That's like his big thing. He loves dogs. He might even love dogs more than freaking Squalla, but he's helping out all the dogs, and he's such a brash guy that he's like, I'm not helping them, whatever. And then he cries about how much he loves dogs. And he's just so good. And of all the characters and all of their like dark motivations, right? Like Neteros and Gons and all those dark motivations, Knuckles' motivation was to try to see the good in the other side. That was his whole thing. He wanted to see if the ants like were human like he was. And it was insane because all of the stuff with Yuppie, he found out that indeed, yes, they were his suspicions were confirmed. Absolutely one of the best characters. I'm going to put him here. That's good. He's amazing, right? Look at this S tier. This is so stacked. We got 2 more coming in the S tier. So Poof is a character that when he's born, he's so elegant and he's so beautiful and he has the rainbow butterfly wings. But in the end, he is there might be 3 S tier characters actually. Not Poof though. Poof is a character that is in the end, and it's the scene where it like shows him, right? When it shows his true form, his true insectoid form. So it's more of an aesthetic thing as opposed to Gon and Killua, which is all narrative. It's more of an aesthetic thing with Yuppie and Poof in terms of the good and the bad and the good, because Poof was born and he was like so beautiful and elegant, and then he ends up being like the most evil of the 3. It's just because he's so devoted to the king, but at the same time, the way he connives and schemes, and when you see his true insectoid form, you're like, okay, this guy is evil, right? But his overdramaticness and all of the funny scenes of him playing the violin and stuff, I still like him as a character. He's just my least favorite of the Royal Guard. So where did I put Pito? I put Pito here. I'm going to put Poof just behind. And then we're going to move on to someone who's going to be quite a bit higher in Yuppie, because Yuppie is the opposite. He's born and he's the big bruiser. You think he's just going to murder everybody and do all sorts of violent acts, right? And he kind of does in the beginning. You know, it's even during at the start of the raid when he transforms into the terrifying like eye beast with all the tentacles. But through his fight with Knuckle and Merle, he learns to control his rage, and he learns to have empathy for the other people, and he refuses to kill them. And then he says, "No way." And I love this guy, right? I love the scene with him and Poof. I mean, I'll talk about with Poof too. Him and Poof in the crater, and they're like feeding themselves to Meruem. Amazing scene. That's actually my friend's favorite scene, or tied for his favorite scene. But he's my favorite. I love that scene when he refuses to kill them. I'm going to put him quite a bit higher, maybe like here. I think that's a good spot for him. Okay, on to, and I'm not even going to try to not rank these two together. Excuse me. On to, I don't know, okay. I might put him above more. We'll see. So Meruem is the king of the ants. He is like the perfect being, right? And it is through his character that I have questioned myself, questioned how I think about the world more than any other piece of fiction, right? Because initially, you know, he is vile. You know, he kills that kid and eats her brain. He murders indiscriminately. He brings those dancer girls as like cattle for his men or whatever, for his ants. But it is through, I literally have to talk about them together. You can't not. Through Komugi, who is the Gungi champion. It's kind of like a board game, right? And she is a frail, blind girl, and she can do nothing but play this game, but she is the best at the game, right? She's so honed in on that one thing that the king can't beat her, right? And that's like the whole thing, is that the king spends so much time with her, he starts to understand the fragileness of humanity and the nuances of what makes a person worthy and all of that. And she just is able to change the king in a way that is so powerful and so meaningful through their interactions. And even after the name scene, he's like, I'm gonna go kill her right now. And he goes in there and he saves her and calls her a gentle creature, right? So it's like, obviously you're not going to do that. And this is the strongest writing, these two, in the whole series. This is peak. This is peak. And the scene that makes me cry more, well, there's the going Mary saving Luffy and crew in One Piece, and then these two, the ending of these two is what makes me cry the most when I rewatch them, and did when I first saw it too. So what can I even say? What else is there to say about them? I like that Meruem uses... We're going to talk more about Meruem too. So the reason that I question my philosophy is because, like this, right? When he's talking to Netero before the fight, he's like... It's the scene where he's like, on the left of the... There are countries in this world, in our world right now, that me and you, where on the left of the border, kids are starving en masse. And then on the right of the border, there are these people that have never done anything good in their lives, and they're perfectly fine, and they're in their big palaces, right? So he points that hypocrisy out, and it really kind of reaches through the screen and hits me too, right? And obviously the "we are far worse" scene, right? Which is, it's true. I mean, well, it's not true necessarily, right? I kind of go back and forth on this, but it is sort of a what if, where there is a world where, and I might sound crazy for saying this, where Meruem and Komugi stay together, and Meruem continues to learn about people and about empathy and about all of these different concepts, and there might end up being a world where he fixes everything, right? Where he quells all of the injustice in the world, and everybody is able to live much better than they ever could have, besides the, bastards taking advantage of people. So, a little bit too deep maybe, but these two are just excellent, right? They are going to go I gotta put him above Moral, right? Even though I love Moral so much, these two are a package deal, and they're the only reason Netero beats him is because he's my favorite character in fiction. So that's looking good to me. That's everything in S tier for sure. And we're gonna shotgun around a lot of these because these are very minor. Well, not this, but the Scholar, Squid Guy. Where's Peggy? You can go with Peggy's better. Put Peggy there. You can go like here. This was the fake dictator, is how I interpreted it. This was like the stand-in dictator that got killed. I'm going to put him in F tier, obviously, like here. We're just going to shotgun around these, honestly. This is the little gamer guy who fights Shalnark, one of Zazan's minions, whatever. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We have like 3.5 real characters to talk about. One of them is Ikalgo. So I really love Ikalgo because he is just like an ant, like scrub, right? And he like doesn't really believe that he's the empathy that he took from his time as a human, or the emotions that he took, made him feel like he wasn't really deserving of anything, and he wasn't really deserving of friendship or love or anything. And then Killua just shows him that that's not true. And the scene where they're in the alley and he's like, "This is the future that I had dreamed about," is just so sweet. And he ends up playing a pretty good role. My cat's, hear that? My cat's scratching the cat tree. But Ikalgo is an A tier character, if not an S tier character. He is just another beating heart in a big dark jungle. So I'm gonna put him here. That's a good spot. So what else we got? Oh, the worst characters in the series. Okay, beyond them, we got Welfin, and Welfin really wanted to be the king behind the scenes. He was trying to like manipulate Bizef here, this disgusting, rotten creature, into kind of like, he wanted political power, right? He thought that he could that's how he would make his way and like make his way up the ranks. But the scene with Meruem when he touches him and he ages 100 years, obviously one of the best scenes in the whole show. I'm going to put him in B tier. I'm going to put him... That's probably good. He was pretty funny, right? He was a pretty funny character. Disgusting pig. Probably the bottom. So this is Femme Kite. This is reincarnated Kite. Maybe the weirdest decision of the entire series, Togashi. I don't really know what you're cooking with that, but I don't know. All right, sure. Just because it kind of skeeves me out, I'm going to put them bottom of C, like maybe there. Oh, Reina. So this was the ant version of Reina, the sister that died at the beginning, and just the sweetest moment in the whole series with, Meruem and Komugi's death, and then the Reina and Bloster's like going to dinner. Oh, makes me cry, right? Where's Bloster? She has to go with Bloster. Right here. Nice. Welfin needs to be below them. That's just insulting to them. Okay. That's good. Okay. So how I interpreted this scene was that this was the real dictator, and he's kind of like just chilling on the beach. That's kind of like the whole point is like, the rich billionaire horrible person always gets the dub in the end, right? Because that's just how the world works. I thought that was kind of how the scene was playing out. Up to interpretation maybe, but where's the other one? Yeah, same shit, right? Same shit, different ass. So this is Pariston, and Pariston is very much one of the most intriguing characters. He is a politician that kind of always has that smile on his face, but lurking below him is one of the most cold souls, darkest hearts of them all, right? He's a huge manipulator, and the one scene that I really like is, I love the fact that Netero chose him because this guy is most not like Netero. That's kind of like, he wanted the person who would oppose him the most, like adversity maxing, right? And the scene that I really like is he's been so indifferent his whole life to everybody that he's ever met, but with Jing, he's like, I don't know what I would do to someone that I actually hate, right? And that's like an insane line. Pariston gets an A tier just for the intrigue factor. Put him like right there, probably. Okay, so Full disclosure, I really don't like the Zodiacs. I think that that's my least favorite part of the arc. I just think their designs are really bad, and that most of them don't really offer anything besides like Cheadle, Pariston, and Jing. So I'm gonna put them all in D tier. High. I'm gonna put them top of D tier. I don't really like them. Mizai cool. You know, he has some moments in the manga after, but can't get over the design, y'all. I'm sorry. Put all of them together down here. That guy's a freaking abomination. Put him below. Cluck is cute, so she can go up there. So these last two here are obviously much more important. Cheadle ends up winning the election, and she's sort of like a medicine hunter, disease hunter, and she takes Leorio under her wing, which I think is really sweet. And I just like her a lot. Like, I like her design more than the rest of them too, and I think that she's a much more important character. So she's gonna get a B tier. I'm gonna put her behind Dune and that's good for Cheadle. Okay, so the last important character. Well, Alluka's important too. I shouldn't disrespect, but Jing is the whole objective of this whole show, right? Gon has just been looking for him the whole show. And I have done such a 180 on Jing. It is unbelievable. I think it's just because I've been growing up. I'm 24 now. I first watched this when I was 19, I think. And Jing, at first I was like, Jing is horrible. He's the worst. He's a terrible dad. And I mean, he's not the best dad, certainly. But the main thing about Hunter x Hunter that I've come to love upon rewatches is that they're all human. And Jing, he's not a perfect dude. He's not... admirable. Well, he's very admirable, right? With all the ruins stuff that he does, he's a great contribution to society. But he left Gon behind. But the truth is, he left Gon behind because it was too dangerous, right? It was too dangerous with what he was doing. But I have done just such a 180 on Jing. I used to hate him, but now I feel like I just understand him a lot more. And would that maybe mean that I would be a not a good dad? I don't know. But let's put Jing very high, probably maybe with Razor. I think that's kind of like a nice, these two being together. So let's do that. I actually really like Jing. So Alluka is the last sibling of the Zoldycks, and they have this horrible curse from the Dark Continent, right? And so they have to be kept in solitary confinement. But Killua is the only one that can get to them, get on their good side, basically. And it's sort of Killua's final arc is that he wants to live just a normal life with her, and so he takes her away, and they sort of, it ends on a nice note as they kind of are getting away from Illumi, right? So Alluka, she's great character design, and just a nice character. Probably beat maybe that's good. I don't remember her name, but she's really awesome. She is like one of the specialty butlers, like maybe the number one butler or something. And she also is kind of on Alluka's good side, and her power is so weird when she transforms into a motorcycle. I mean, what's up with that, right? B tier for you, though, because you are actually pretty cool. Maybe like here. This is their assistant. I think they're really cute. For cute points, I'm going to put them... They don't deserve to be this high, but cute points. Okay, so... I don't know who a lot of these are. This is maybe the doctor that helps with Gon, I think. This is the one that went to the Dark Continent with Maha and Netero. And then I don't know any of these five. I feel like I saw a funny YouTube video about whoever this is. Something about them being a love interest of somebody, but I'm going to put all five of these and I don't know, because I actually don't know who they are. And I am rushing to get to the end of the video a little bit, but I don't know who they are, so I don't know who they are, right? So here's my list. Oh, and look. To see you off, a cat. But this is my list, so let's zoom out here. Hello, cat. This is my list. A more stacked S tier than any other show, fittingly. Let's see if there's anything I want to change. Nope, there's not. This has been my Hunter x Hunter tier list. I put Reyna above. Wait. No, we gotta do this. We gotta do. I can't believe I was thinking about that. We gotta do this and this. Make sure there's nothing else. No, that's good. Okay. After fixing that mistake, this has been my Hunter x Hunter tier list. Like I said, I think I'm going to be doing these weekly from now on. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a beanie, it's because I'm growing my hair out and it was really messy. So that's why I'm wearing a beanie. But look forward to another tier list next Tuesday. And thanks for watching. Peace, peace.